Get rid of that one. Ladies and gentlemen, from the confines of my dingy and opaque office, we're live and we are bad. How is everybody? This laptop was lagging on me, so it took me a little while to go live. I almost chucked the thing, but I figured I wouldn't be doing much good if I chucked the laptop. Hey, we got Chris Greenway in the chat. Howdy, Chris. He's first. That car is beautiful, Chris. I had no idea, man. You said project car. I figured like project. That thing's shiny and pretty, and it's a nice car, man. Got Danny Boyd in the chat. Spencer's drink reviews and chugs. Spencer, how you doing, brother? You changed the channel name. I like it. Cousin Abel Territory does nothing special in the chat. William Kavanaugh. Not much, William. Just hanging out over here. Lazy Sunday. I was enjoying Tony's live. I always enjoy the financial rants. It's a little extra something when you go on Tony's lives. Spencer's doing good. Glad to hear it, man. I'm doing all right. Been a good week. Was able to get the 6-cylinder running again. Chris is saying, I'm talented with a buffing wheel and compound. Yeah, that thing looks good, man. It's a nice car. Mike in 32451. Howdy, Mike. Not a whole bunch, man. Just hanging out over here. Spencer's saying D-backs walked off the Giants. Good. So it's a good day when the Giants lose. Cousin Abel's saying, always enjoy triggering those financial rants from Uncle Tom. Yeah, he goes off. He got some great information, though, really. It's a lot of food for thought. William Kavanaugh saying, you learned the hard way to hook up your alternator. William, I thought that it was a loose connection, but I think the alternator itself had just failed because I tested it out the next day and I wasn't getting any, wasn't charging at all. Kevin Clancy in the chat. Good to see you too, Kevin. How's it, man? Anything cool happen? But yeah, no, I don't know whether I zapped something, in the process of working on everything or what, but that alternator was gone. Kind of bummed me out too, because that's an old stock, made in USA, Delcatron. Hey, thanks, Spencer. Mike in, no, it was it's a normal GM alternator. I had done a conversion that I got off of I think the stove bolt forums. So you ground out one of the posts and just basically make it a one wire alternator. Whew. Excuse me, guys. I was getting too comfortable watching UT's live. I was just like kind of drifting off into Mopar space. Yeah, it was kind of funny because hey, we got Chris Cadman in the chat. Howdy, Chris. It was funny because the alternator gave the ghost, and I have a spare for the V8 that I'm building, and I was gonna just swap that on, and I ended up helping my boss with a couple things. He needed me to stay, an extra hour or two to help him finish up some work on a Cobra that came back in. And I was like, hey, I'm supposed to be hanging out with my lady tonight, blah, blah, blah. He's like, all right, just, if you can help me out here, I'll give you an alternator. I'm like, all right. I was like, he's like, do we have one that'll work? I was like, yeah, we got, I think the old Chevelle we had V belts. And I go upstairs and I grab, there's this box from this old Chevelle of parts that we took off. And I pull out the alternator for that Chevelle. And it's this brand new, I don't know how much the thing cost, a black Power Master alternator. And I was just sitting there laughing. I was like, you effed up, Ray. He gave me the nicest alternator in the building. He's like, not that one. I'm like, I know. I'm just laughing at the idea of it. But he gave me another alternator. I think it's also a Power Master. It just doesn't have a sticker on it. So I can't show off. Hey, Tall Ken in the house. Howdy, brother. How are you? William Kavanaugh saying, doesn't matter. I've gone through 4 alternators in 1 year with my 74 vet. William, I mean, I think this one's last me. I think I did the conversion in late 2020. So it's been a few years. Chris is dyeing his seats tomorrow. Mike N saying, always keep a spare one wire and a spare starter for my 69 Camaro. Yeah. I'm lucky that I did the alternator conversion all those years ago. This used to be a it used to have a generator on it, and the voltage regulator failed on. I have a video about it, but the voltage regulator failed on me years ago, and I had a small fire, which kind of toasted up the generator. And refurbishing it was real expensive, and replacing it was even more expensive. I'm looking at like a $350 fix for versus a $40 alternator and some wires. So I did that conversion. Thankfully, it's convenient. I can actually just swap in an alternator, not rather than search for a generator or try to work with adjust brushes or any of that. Food nerds in the chat. Mom, howdy, mom. Happy Mother's Day, mom. I love you. Thank you for not turning me into a serial killer or anything. I'm a horrible son. Tall Garage is working on this, working on that. Yeah, I bet, man. You always got something cool going on in the Tall Garage. Terrence Seymour in the chat saying, evening, guys. Working on a Hellfire CRV7 and a Hydra 70 rockets today. Ah, the joy. Jeez. Dakota is saying, we keep old alternators around. That way, when one stops working, we got the parts store to fix one. Yeah, Dakota, I was thinking of fixing the one I have. Like I said, just because it's so old, whether I don't know. I don't think it would take much. But the $40, I think $30, $40 Craigslist alternator. Oh no, I'm freezing up now. Don't touch anything, Ari. This laptop's seen better days. Oh, don't take me to the beginning of the chat. Mike N saying, I have an AC Delco starter. I keep having it rebuilt, and I put it on the shelf when not used. The starters for these 6 cylinders are a little expensive. I'm sure I could swap out the guts with the V8 starter or something, but those stove bolt starters are pretty damn expensive. They're well made. I forget the company, but they're decently made. But they're still. Chris Cadman saying, my buddy got a massive Hemi, had to get surgery. Sorry, I meant hernia. Mike N saying, right now I'm running a gear reduction starter. Let's see how long it lasts. Chris Greenaway saying, Ari, the formula is rocking numbers match and drive line and still has paint for $5,800 and $2,000. Safety, good to go. Mexican Spec in the chat saying, howdy, Ari, still the black car I sold a month ago. The buyer refuses to arrange shipping. The car is in limbo now. Did he pay you, Mexican Spec? Because, hey, we got Midnight Auto Repair in the chat. Not much, man. Just hanging out after the work week. How are you? Brian M. saying, this week I was helping my electrician buddy replace a power panel on a house. That sounds fun, Brian. Did you teach him what a broom is? Hey, John Marimba in the chat. Howdy, John. How are you? Dakota's time out saying there's not a lot going on inside an alternator. You find a bunch of junk ones laying around. Lay on them like a goose on a cold day. Well, you know me, Dakota. I don't throw much away, which is kind of reassuring. You know what I mean? It's when stuff like this happens, like, okay, it's my battery or my alternator. I have a spare of both. J. Russell Finch in the chat. Howdy, J. Russell Finch is saying, hi, Ari. I enjoyed your series on your truck engine fix. Funny and an adventure to boot. Yeah, I'm glad you got a kick out of it, man. It was honestly, last week I did not have high hopes for that engine. I kept taking sorry, I lost my train of thought there completely. It's gonna take me a second. Excuse me. I kept taking pieces off of that engine thinking I was gonna find some catastrophic mess and it was gonna be absolutely horrible And sure enough, you know what I mean, took the head off, I didn't see anything. Got the oil pan off, before I had to take the oil pan off before I could take the timing cover off. So you know what I mean? I had looked in there, I checked main caps, I checked rod caps, and I'm just like, I'm expecting to see some carnage, you know what I mean? And everything was fine. And then I finally took the timing cover off. I took the old weird fibrous timing gear off, and then it stopped knocking, and I was like, wait, there's hope here. You know what I mean? Let me hold on, I can fix this. So it was kind of cool going through it. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, J. Russell Finch. I'll tell you what. We got Claire popping in saying, "Hey Ari, it's nice to see you on YouTube. Looks like you're doing well. Take care." Claire, looks can be deceiving. Good to see you. RNM saying, "No sparks in this case." Nice. Midnight Auto Repair is saying, "Good. Just in the shop prepping the exhaust on the S10 and getting a trailer hitch on it for my move at the end of the month." Hey, that sounds good, Midnight Auto Repair. You're just getting it done. Hope the move's not too hectic, man. I know that no matter what, it probably is, but I mean, I'm sure you got it under control. Mexican Spec saying, "I have to handle this legally. I will send him a registered letter giving him 30 days to arrange shipping. Then he loses the car. Not much else I can do." Jeez. At zeros in the chat saying, "Oi, oi, oi. Oi, oi," at zero. John Marimba saying, when I heard you the way the valves weren't turning over, I knew it was hope that it was just timing gear. Yeah, I mean, that was definitely that was the first thing I did. I got it back to the shop. I popped the valve cover off, and I saw that, of course, there was no movement. And my boss is like, "Dude, your valves aren't moving." I'm like, "I see this." He's like, "Your timing chain." I'm like, "I think it's a timing gear." You know what I mean? And I was just worried because if you guys watch that video where I was turning it over, you can hear a real significant knock. But apparently, what it was is that when it's out of time, there's a tight enough tolerance in the engine to where I think the number 5 rod like brushes up against the cam like just a little bit, just enough to make that horrible noise. Unless I'm mistaken, that was the only thing I saw. I saw a tiny little wear pattern on the cam shaft in between the lobes, and as soon as I kind of turned the cam out of the way, it stopped doing that. So J. Russell Finch is saying the valves on your engine look like there were no interference, hence the no vent valves. Yeah, J. Russell Finch, it's a non-interference engine. Thankfully, I lucked out there. Lucked out a few times. Saying, "Oh, return the money plus then you return the money plus some in court. Life happened." Oh, that don't sound like fun. Mexican Specs just trying to make a buck, get some people some cool cars. I want things to go smooth for them. GTI Warrior in the chat. Howdy, Chris. How are you, man? How's it treating you out there? Did it warm up at all? Or are you still frozen? Like N32451 saying, "Can you recommend an oil pan for my small block Chevy? Just put a top end kit from Edelbrock and the cheapo O'Reilly pan leaks like a sieve." Mike N, they have a real basic Mylodon pan that I'm pretty sure is what's on my Chevy 350. I don't know. I don't think it's too far off from stock. I don't know. I'd have to find out the model number. Let me see if I can look at when I'm at work. See if I can pick anything up off of that. Chris Cadman's dog is still giving him the eyeball. Eric Kofed in the chat. Howdy, Eric. How are you, brother? You out on the road? Mexican Spec saying he's getting a lot of grief. John Marimba saying the clunking sound was freaky for sure. Yeah, I thought you know what I mean? Because throughout the years, you know what I mean, I've had a lot of issues. Obviously it's an old engine, things happen, but nothing to where I couldn't get it started and kind of get off the road. So between the engine just shutting off, not being able to get it started, and then that horrible knock I was hearing, I was like, this thing's finally done. It finally gave the ghost. I was convinced. I wouldn't post anything about it, being gone unless I was convinced. So, I was happy. I was happy that I was able to fix it. That's for sure. Midnight Auto Repair is saying Erie, Pennsylvania to North Carolina in the old truck, 700 plus miles after sitting for 27 years and with a fresh V8 swap. Jeez, that's pretty badass, man. Cousin Abel's asking zero at zero how the Dart is, ready for summer cruises. Midnight Auto Repair is saying, and those nylon gears are terrible. First thing I ditch. And new Cloys set is stupid cheap, so it's a no-brainer. Midnight Auto Repair, it wasn't even nylon. It was like some fiber, it was like phenolic or something. Some kind of I joked around about it. It's made out of jute twine and leftover sea rations from the war effort. But yeah, no, it is definitely worth replacing. I got a melling gear because it was 38 bucks for the melling. The Cloys set was 80 for both. I didn't need both, so I just grabbed the cam sprocket and I installed that, and it seems to be working. So GTI Warriors saying that it finally warmed up and now it's time to build Noah's Ark. Oh damn! Chris Greenaway saying at least you got lucky. It was the Pie Creek gear. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, I expected to drop that oil pan and find a bunch of metal or something just in shards. And the only thing that was really my thrust bearing had some wear on it, and the journal had a little bit of scoring, but nothing too bad. It wasn't bad enough to where I put it back together. I wouldn't have put it back together if it was that bad. So that was uh that was the worst thing I saw. I kept expecting to see some carnage, and the only thing was just pieces of that gear. So at least there's that. I was honestly shocked about the the condition of everything. I didn't realize that the engine had had a rebuild. When the gentleman sold me the truck, he told me that his cousin had rebuilt the engine, and I thought he was full of it just looking at the condition of the engine. But I guess he wasn't full of it. So she's 40 over. I've been living a lie. Chris Cadman saying Mexican spec. The last time I let her cook, she just about burned down the double. Yes. William Kavanaugh saying Mexican spec, screw him. If I had the money, I'd take it off your hands. Register letter. I'm not sure what we'll do. I have somebody helping me with it. He will send me letter from Nelly's Air Force Base. Oh geez. J. Russell Finch saying, how crazy was the bolts inside the pan for the cam cover? I mean, it just seems so backwards, because I'm sitting there, I pull like there's these little quarter 20 bolts holding on the timing cover. I'm like, okay, I got those all off. What's holding me up down here? And there's just two random bolt ends. And I'm like, where do those come from? Right behind the first main cap in the oil pan. Like, really? And this is what, I talk about pre 63 Chevy stuff because everyone's like, oh, you got a Chevy. It's the easiest thing in the world. And it's true to a certain degree, but pre 63 Chevy stuff's kind of weird. You know what I mean? It's kind of nuanced, it's mismatched. It's not as easy to deal with as post 63 Chevy stuff. Eric Kofed saying Willys. Everyone gets mad at me when I call it a Willis. Willys made their cam gears out of that fiber material. It's held together with paper mache and unicorn tears. Exactly. Like what is that? It's like leftover Jeep tires and like those Charms candies. Midnight Auto Repair is saying, oh, it was the answer to all the loud timing sets they use. Never had that be an issue unless it was a gear drive. So who knows what they were thinking? Yeah, that's true. Some of that stuff, which is kind of funny, you know what I mean? They had the 235 stove bolt for years and years, so it's like you think they would have come up with something a little easier to deal with. I guess back then it's like, no, just change out your jute twine gear. It only costs 10 cents. Uh, Ed D is in the chat. He's saying, "Hello, glad to see the truck back on the road. Is it staying cool?" Ed D, yeah, it's staying cool now. I changed that thermostat and she's doing fine. Some of it, Andy, I think maybe because I had kind of a crappy connection on my temperature sending unit off the head. I think that I might have been fluctuating before a little more than I was noticing, but I redid that connection and now the the temperature gauge actually seems a lot more accurate. I get more activity out of it. Dean Stevenson in the chat saying, "Get down with the Hardinator, stove bolt, stove bolt king." I'll take it. I'll take it. Mopar Man 1978 in the chat. Howdy, Jeremiah. How are you, man? How's it going, brother? Been seeing you do a lot of work over there. William Kavanaugh saying, "So if the money cleared, what's the problem?" Chris Cadman saying, "Mexican spec, I gave her full supervision in my business. Now I live in half burned out double wide." Chris, I mean, I don't know. Half burned out double wide doesn't sound that bad from a Californian. You know what I mean? That's I would probably have to pay like $3,500 a month to live in a half burnt out double wide, and there'd probably be an Airbnb next door with that was the half burnt out single wide. Midnight Auto Repair is saying early Chevy small blocks had a weird small crank journal. Midnight Auto Repair, I've never done. I mean, I've like worked around a 265, but I didn't get to mess with the engine itself at all. I like them a bunch though. I worked on a 55 last year that had a 265 and a power glide in it. We did some good work to that car actually. It questionably good work. I didn't really feel like it needed the overdrive and everything, but the posi was kind of cool. I don't know if I don't know. You got this like 265 V8. It's very mild, and then you're like, oh, let me put a 200 R4 and get you some, get a spool going for this thing, and kind of like you couldn't have just left it the way it was. I should probably have a different job. Hey, boy, saying, what you talking about, Willis? Claire's saying, I'd love to connect. It's been too long. Claire, I'm sitting down here in San Juan Capistrano, bored as sin. Give me a call. J. Russell Finch saying, so what's next for the truck? Well, I'm thinking about doing some suspension work. I found a little bit of scoring on my outer bearing races up on the front wheel bearings. I want to replace my front wheel bearings. I'd like to do ball joints, bushings. I want to get a decent set of Bilstein shocks, maybe. Just do some decent work to her. Do some disassembly and painting on the front end. That way, as I work towards the V8 swap, I have fresh parts and kind of a clean area to install a V8. I don't want to just throw it in there and just leave things the same. Which I'm fine with leaving things the same. It's what I just did, but if I'm going to do it, I want to do it. So the but in the nearest future, I just need to degrease that truck. I need to get under there with some gunk. Probably, you know what I mean. I got a bug super clean. They've been hooking up all the YouTubers. So I got to get in there and degrease very seriously. I had been meaning to do that for a couple weeks and I haven't gotten to it. And of course, I end up having to take apart the whole damn engine before I could degrease anything. It was messy. Chris Greenaway is saying, all right, probably because when they were going down the assembly, the guy would attach the bolts, then put the gasket and tank, while the top guy put the valve and timing covers. Maybe. John Marimba's saying, water is wetter with water wetter. Poor man saying, speaking of tires, those awful fake banana flavored marshmallow circus peanuts are made out of old recycled Firestone tires. I wonder if they still have blowout issues, Mopar man. See Roma's in the chat. Howdy, brother. He's saying, nice to see your truck up and running. Yeah, man. I'm really, really happy about it. I'm really happy about it, brother. I was shocked. This time last week, I was like, this engine's gone. My truck's going to be on the rack for weeks until I get this V8 together. And you know how it is when you're throwing things together. There's always the little things that kind of throw you off. So I wasn't really ready for that. So being able to get the truck together and running, so I can still use it in the meantime while I accumulate parts for that swap and everything is just too cool. I think. Kenny Whidden in the chat saying hello, everybody. Hello, Kenny. How are you, man? William Kavanaugh is saying just pay 99,000 for a single wide with 3/4 of an acre. William, I'm jealous, man. That is a beautiful price. Mexican spec, you'd be surprised, man. You would be surprised, man. Oh, poor man. See, I'm going to do a video of the actual shaft seal problem tomorrow if it's not raining. Been raining for many days and nights straight. That sucks, man. That's got to keep you anxious. Oh, see, okay. Already saying probably will going down the assembly line. Top guy was put on the valve cover and the timing cover. Then the bottom guy bolted the oil pan and gasket and went to paint. Could very well be, man. It definitely was one of those things. I should have just pulled the engine. I should have pulled the engine. I don't know how else to say that. Danny Boyd saying take it to the steam cleaning place. Maybe for the underside, Dan, that would be cool because there's a lot of nooks and crannies. Like even if I jack that thing up, that I can't really get to. But I have one of those big like absorbent material pads they use at the dealerships, and I think I used it a bunch. It's pretty soaked with coolant from me pulling that head off. I didn't even drain the coolant. Uh, but I think I'm going to set that under the truck and do some serious scraping. You can see cat hair flying around here, floating cat hair tumbleweeds, drifting along with the cat hair tumbleweeds. Um, but I seriously need to do like a Cold War Motors level one, scrape the shit off of that entire whole front end of that truck. Because I used to degrease that thing a lot. It'd be something I did every few months, but it's been since I did the last video about it, which is about a year ago. So I mean, she's messy. Mexican spec saying I haven't seen rain for a long time. Andy's saying, does the metal gear make any more noise compared to the fiber gear? Going fiber to aluminum in Model A is often noticeable. Yeah, it does actually, Andy. It makes a she sounds different, which is weird. You know what I mean? I got used to one thing. I've been driving the truck like that for a better part of 10 years now, so it's like she definitely sounds different, and I like this sound too. Makes me want to put a gear drive on my small block. Mexican spec saying, Ari, are you having second thoughts about changing it out for the V8 now? No, not at all, Mexican spec. Not at all. It's just it makes it tough. It makes it tough. I love the engine. I love the old technology and everything. It's got a lot of sentimental value to me, but having to source parts like that and not knowing if I can get things or what's obsolete, you know what I mean? It makes me apprehensive because it's like, you know what I mean? If I have the same issue with a small block, I could have had, three or four timing sets before I'd even ordered the one for the six cylinder. Just the convenience of the V8 plus the power, it just sounds like a good idea to me. I love my stove bolt though. John Marimba saying, does a fella have alternate transportation to get his when his truck goes broke? John, I was able to borrow a car from my pops. It's just one of his spares he has sitting around. He's too cheap to pay for gas because it's got a V8 in it. So I just drove that, and it's good. That way, it actually gets some miles on it, charges the battery, and yeah, that was pretty cool. I was able to get around. I don't like it. I don't like driving new cars. It starts to feel like I'm playing a video game or something. I'm not paying enough attention. My the truck keeps me pretty damn alert. So it's kind of, I'm used to that. It's a very attentive thing. You got to be driving that truck. Chris Cabin saying, all right, I have a dog that will help with the degreasing. Saying she is a little greasy though. A greasy degreasing dog. Chris Cadman's dog, the true star of the show. Mike N32451's giving me thumbs up. Rusted Junk Garage in the chat. Howdy, Steve. How are you, man? How's it up north? Look beautiful in that video, man. This time of year is just unreal up there. Mopar Man saying, was standing in line today at Menards. Menards, not Maynard's, Menards. Getting a couple of items for my break, and a guy had on the back of his shirt, the glass can be half full or half empty as long as it has whiskey in it. I like it. What did I miss here? Midnight Auto Repair says, going to head out, going to do a quick YouTube short before I leave the shop and find somewhere to get dinner. Always good catching up with you, Ari. Have a good night, man. You have a good night too, brother. Glad everything's going well. I hope everything goes smooth with the move and everything else. And get yourself some decent dinner. Be safe out there, man. Check your fluids. Um, I see Roma saying, I always hated Firestone tires. Didn't realize the circus peanuts I like are made from the tires I hate. I guess they have a purpose then, Charlie. I guess they do. Eric Kofed saying, I've been using super clean degreaser on all of my equipment and vehicles, including the cat under the hood of our Peterbilt. I want to try it on a couple of my farm tractors as well. Have you been getting good results, Eric? I always use the gunk, which I don't really like. I really prefer the Easy Off, like the oven cleaner or 409 oven cleaner. I feel like I got better results with that. And I was scared the super clean wasn't caustic enough. Chris Green always saying, remember Christine, that's how the automotive sector was. My dad's older brother was a light Ford licensed mechanic, and he said, yeah, if paint didn't come out well on the roof, customers got the vinyl upgrade. Nice. Just working with what they got. I like that. Got Dickie Farley in the chat. How did I miss Dickie Farley? How you doing, brother? How was your week? So Mexican spec saying, or you can find an early Chevy 2 to put your engine in. That would work. Actually, Hubie kind of expressed some interest in it because Hubie's got five. The hell just fell off my face? Probably a spider. He's got five tri fives, and I believe his four door came with a 6 cylinder, and the engine that he has for that car is kind of rusted out. So I think my 235 would be a good option if he needs it. So I told him he can have the damn thing if he wants it. Chris Cadman saying my ex used those absorbent pads. Enough said. I'll see myself out. Hit the buffet. I will be here all week at the airport bar. Thank you. Mike N32451 saying when you tune an Edelbrock 1406 idle circuit, is it better to tune with the tack or back gauge? Does it matter? Instructions say tack. Uncle Tony uses a back gauge. What's your take? I mean, whichever one works for you, Mike N. You're just supposed to. One kind of works the same, right? You're supposed to tune to the highest RPM you can get, right? With the I'm having another brain fart. I'm gonna be a great president someday. Yeah, I think it's about the same. I mean, whichever you got, really. If you don't have a good back gauge, use the tack. If you get good results, I don't know. It's one of those preferred methods type things. I trust. I tune a lot of things by ear, and I have a lot of a lot of my mechanics are based on magic and faith. Put it that way. Cousin Abel saying, Ari, let's race your truck versus my truck. Both race with half a ton of dirt in the back. All right. That was a crazy video, Cousin Abel. I'm sitting there like, really? John Marimba said, I like the back gauge for idle. Better yet, wideband O2 sensor. Yeah, John. They definitely. At Zero saying, who's holding up those messages? Eric Kofed saying, good results from the super clean, better than gunk. Hey, I can pin messages? Jeez, look how fancy that is. Mexican Spec saying, Our Hubie told us he would take the engine if you were going to junk it, but said it should stay in your family. Yeah, I mean, of course, it's something I'd love to keep, but it's like you know what I mean? It's like a 630-pound decoration at that rate versus it going to Hubie and one of his Tri Fives, making a car run. You know what I mean? Another Chevy. I feel like that's a good purpose. Plus, I like the hell out of Hubie. He's a cool dude. Chris Cadman saying, brought me a 6-pack of brand new socks. It's going to be a 3-pack in a week, Chris. John Marimba saying, Menard's pronunciation PSA, Menards. Save big money at Menards. Chris Greenaway's saying, here's your 72 Torino that you didn't order the vinyl roof. What you mean? You have it checked off here. What do you mean? You have it checked off here? Lots of cars with mistakes. My old man's Comet GT was supposed to be a 4-speed console, but ended up with a 3-speed. Ended up with a Calm Shift 3. Kevin Clancy's saying, I agree either or. I have a digital timing light, so it's just more accurate watching RPM for me, but vacuum works too. John Marimba saying, will the plywood support the dirt? Yeah, yeah, of course. I think it's 3/4 1-inch ply. We just have to cover up the last couple corners and it should be great. I mean, I've had like a half ton of slant 6 back there. I don't see what the difference is if it's dirt. Probably spread out better. Mike N saying, is this video about 3 minutes behind in the chat for anyone else or just me? Mike N, I think Ad Zero might have been having that issue too. It could be my crappy internet over here. This laptop's been acted up too. I'm probably going to Elvis this thing, put a couple bullet holes in it before too long. Kenny Whidden saying, I can tune it for you. Mike N, 32451. Yes. Mike N saying the live isn't behind. Ari is. Yes, I'm stuck in yesterday. Stuck in the past. William Cavanaugh saying Hubie's gasser is cool. Yes, that thing is so badass. I'm so proud. Like that's the first car I got to accompany to drag races. Like so proud. Mopar man saying, okay, I'm going to demote you for just a second, and this is intentional. And then I will add you as a moderator again. How's that work? Does that work, Mopar man? Chris Greenaway say, Mike, slide it to where it says live. Ari is also behind. Dang. Hey, cousin Mike's in the chat. How are you, brother? Cousin Mike and brother Bear from Barrow's Garage were in the junkyards looking for a new exhaust manifold for me. I was touched. I was like, really? Like, I got people looking out for me up in Idaho. I appreciate that. Was too cool. Miss Olive Drab in the chat. Howdy, Olive. Was delayed by uncoolness. Best not detail. I'm sorry, Olive. I hope everything's all right. First responder garage in the chat. Howdy, brother. How are you, man? I just got the notification for one of your videos. Finally some progress. I'm gonna have to check that out. Anybody who doesn't watch First Responder Garage, you better check him out because he's got some great information, a lot of food for thought. Watching videos is like that's for me, so I enjoy them. I can't say I'll drive it around and check the plugs again. Jay Russell Finch saying, Ari, we need a picture of your truck up on the wall behind you. I should green screen or something. This white wall is so boring, and I don't really, my pops uses the office to sell cars out of, so I don't want to put up a bunch of like race stuff and broken parts. I got a couple of the No Name Nationals banners. I got a lot of good stickers and just random what have yous that I could put up. I don't need something, maybe some green screen or something, Jay Russell Finch. I think so. Chris Cadman saying, all right, don't be on the toilet when you go all Elvis. You know what? If it's good enough for the king, it's good enough for me, Chris. Chris Greenaway is saying some of the one cars are dealer fluff cars. This one customer has dough and good credit and add options that don't stick out to up the pricing. Okay. I've dealt with that, Chris. I used to have the dealerships that come through and powder coat stuff at places I've worked. Cousin Mike saying good was over watching Cheryl. I didn't realize she was live, man. Cousin Abel saying, you saw that shot of my truck, right? The heaviest load is 1.8 tons. I can't believe that, Cousin Abel. That old of a truck. I mean, I know it's tough. I know it's just a big old tough piece of steel, but it's that's crazy seeing it still in use like that, man. Cousin Abel, please share out that video if you can so everybody could see because that's worth seeing. Still in service. Danny Boyd saying frijoles. First responder, you're welcome, man. Mexican Spec saying, "It looks like you're in a corner. Who put Ari in the corner?" This is my dad trying to arrange the Persian. So you like there's like an entrance and you see him just in this corner of grandeur. Then you want to buy a car. Charlie says nobody puts Ari in a corner. Cousin Abel saying the little engine that could. Mopar Man saying Glenn Danzig, aka singing drunk Elvis. Mopar Man, you know he actually did an album of Elvis covers. It's not like it's pretty bad, but it's not as bad as you'd think it'd be. All of say we should make an Ari flag you can hang up. Stove bolt flag. Cousin Abel just linked his video, a video of his truck with he said 1.8 tons of dirt in the back. It's not a new truck. Cousin Abel, I have 390 gears in the Apache. You can see my buffing results. Mopar Man 1978 saying, yeah, all right, I wouldn't want to hear Glenn sing it in the game. Mopar Man, just you got to listen to the Elvis or Danzig does Elvis album, please. Treat yourself, man. Mexican Spake. You got a new name, Miguel. Mexican Spec saying, "Are you going to change the gears when you put the V8 in there?" I don't think so, man. I might have to. I might break something, but I don't know. The V8 4 speed and the 390 gears sounds like a little bit of fun. I'm not too worried about my top end. I don't need to. 65 is good. 65 is good for me. William Kavanaugh saying 390s already. No wonder you blew the motor. Chris Greenaway is saying, all right, I should do it for a living. He's talking about buffing and detailing cars, but I'm meticulous. It takes 2 days for days to get where I want it. That would be cool, Chris. Auto detailing's for sure in right now. I mean, everybody got crazy trophy cars and stuff, Hellcats and whatnot, and they'll pay a lot of good money for a detail. I know guys who have quit their jobs after years in a trade just to make more money detailing, and they make good money. It's kind of an annoying amount of money. No, they do all right. Eric Kofed saying I have some spring tillage to do tomorrow. Good night, Ari and everyone. Eric, try to get some video, man. Have a good night, brother. Hope everything's good out there. Stay safe. Check your fluids, man. I remember saying, Joe Dirt, dang. Olive saying, I suggest aftermarket gauges for the Apache. They used to be cheap. Olive, I had a full like gauge cluster, and it was worth some money, but I gave it to my buddy. He's got a 66 three-quarter ton that he's working on, and I thought it was more suited to his purposes. I like my broken gauge cluster. Right? I don't like to change too much. Like, look, I changed the CETO cable and the truck protested. It was like, no, you're asking too much from me. That's weird, Mopar, man. I don't understand why it's doing that. I just set it to a standard moderator. You should be able to do everything. I might have to go to the settings on like deep into the actual YouTube thing that I don't mess with a lot. But I'll try. I'll see what I can do. Mexican Spec saying you need quite a few machines and a place to detail cars to get it right anyway. Oh yeah. Cousin Abel saying, Ari, seriously, let's race. It'd be fun. Zero can drop the flag. That would be a pretty hilarious race, Cousin Abel. I'm all for it. William Kavanaugh saying, check your fluids. Ari's call sign. I love it. You know, it was kind of something I said in passing, and Allie from Lazy A-hole Ranch was like, "Hey, that should be your phrase. Like roll up your windows or rev up your engines." And I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's kind of necessary, but obtuse." Ed Zero saying my idea it was that it was that stupid voodoo sage blunt. You thought that was so funny. How funny was it? Are you saying that the sage actually like exorcised the demons from my engine and that's why the timing gear broke? Chris Cadman saying, ever hear that reggae Elvis band, Dread Zeppelin? I'm unenlightened. Right, I'm saying, Abel, I'd pay money to see that. I'm local. Cousin Abel saying, let's do a $5 purse. I'm all for it, Cousin Abel. That'd be a great race. Any Boy saying Led Zeppelin did a lot of Muddy Waters something. Walters song. Ed Zeppelin did a lot of Muddy Walters song. XJ David in the chat. Howdy, David. How are you, man? How'd the week treat you? Vacuum. Chris Greenway saying Mexican spec have the vacuum, buffer, polished, pressure washer, upholstery extractor. What else do you want? Steam gun ordered. Get it going, man. Poor man saying the flag that would hang up in the background would have a nitro long nosed dragster. And on the side it would read Big Daddy Dong Garlits. Dong Garlits, my other pseudonym here. Mopar man. Mopar man, how did you like penis Landy? Oh man, I'm a child. Auto Salvage Outlaws in the chat. Howdy, brother. How are you? William Kavanaugh saying Sage don't work that good. Ed Zero saying, I'm saying it's that awful thing you did. Shock the anti-commie auto parts into fail. Jive Hive Jeff in the chat saying, got to watch out for the blunts. Oh yeah, Jeff. A few of them hit me real hard in the head, and you can see the effects to this day. J. David saying, I'm good, working a lot, nothing fun. I'm with you, David. It was kind of a long week thrashing on that truck, and I didn't really miss any work either. So I'd be working around and start between 7 or 8. I'll work till 6, and then I just jump straight onto the truck. So right, I'm saying the story that I could tell about being Sage, but the story would not be YouTube friendly. Nothing we say is YouTube friendly, Brian. All I'm saying, if I made an Ari flag, sorry, but it'd be a stick figure with a ball cap and glasses, just a silhouette. Like, the ball cap thing, I never. I used to have kind of poofy hair, and then I've had the same haircut since about 2008. So it kind of, if I don't, well, right now I got crap in it, but if I don't have any product in my hair, it gets all flock of seagulls. So I started wearing the trucker hat for work. This one's I'm fancy. This one's a snap-on hat, but it's kind of stuck. I haven't ever let it go. Danny Boyd saying, "Meh, keep your foul tasting cigar wrap. I'll just vape Delta 8." Doesn't that stuff mess with your head, Dan? Isn't that that's the synthetic one, right? Oh, Brian's in Fountain Valley. I had no idea you were in Fountain Valley, Brian. I thought you were down in South County. But no, you were saying you worked down in South County. I got it confused. Yeah, Brian, like I said, let me know whenever you got time, man. I'll go over to storage. I'll pick up that Traeger for you. I don't know if you have a truck or not, so I can deliver it, man. All I'm saying, I can doodle good greaser. Oh man, that'd be cool to see all of us. That's a lot of the reason I haven't made any stickers or any kind of merch. You know what I mean? I want some custom artwork. As much as I'd love to plagiarize something, you know what I mean? I feel like I don't know if I'm clever enough to do it right. So I kind of want some original stuff. Danny Boyd said, I feel too old to wear a hat backwards anymore. Mopar Man said, I need to send you a Menards trucker cap. Mopar Man, I'd totally wear it, man. I'd totally wear it. I used to collect trucker hats too. I'd go to the swap meet and people throw out however many old ones. I'd find Twin Arrows Truck Stop Arizona, old Castrol hats, NRA hats, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? I would wear them. First responder garage saying vape not good. Tell you not to vape, guys. Territory. He's saying, "Oh, you're fancy down there, along with Ari and Zero." Oh yeah, real fancy, cousin Abel. As you were saying, okay, it's not actually Ari's fault. He was clinically exposed to Grateful Dead art and subversive and awful music. Never subject a child to the dead. Never. Mexican Spec saying, oh, Chris Greenway saying, Mexican Spec, I'd help you be a partner, but in the cold north rather stay up here. Keeps the idiots. All of Sale try to make an Ari doodle or three of them. That'd be rad, Olive. I'll check them out. You have time. Chris Cadman saying, one day, Ari, that hair may migrate from your head to your ears, nostrils, and your back. Oh, yeah, Chris, you're lucky this camera ain't any good, man. Cousin Mike saying, my boss always gets me hats. No poor man saying, Ari, send me some text ideas and I'll draw them up. Sure, man. That'd be cool. Like I said, just something original. I like when, I don't know, especially if it's someone I know that did the art. I feel like it adds such a cool touch. You know, it's like, not everybody can get this or whatever it may be. I don't know. At Zero saying, Abel, dude, I was telling my butler, oh, lost it. Telling my butler how sick of being woken up by him to go to work. John Marin was saying, only time I got fired was by a Menard's computer. It took longer than expected to paint my 68 Fairlane. Took too much time off and the computer flushed me. Two hacks. Jive Hype Jeff saying, Zero, I saw the dead when I was 14. This is explaining a lot, Jeff. Explaining a whole lot. Jeff's just dosing himself and building small blocks. William Kavanaugh saying Ari's not bald. He can wear a cap any way he wants. My boss is bald, and I'm an ass of a man, so I can't help myself. And I told him I was like Ray, like, how much for you to just grow the cul-de-sac one time? Like just rock the cul-de-sac and some sideburns. And he was kind of like half glaring at me. Hey, Sand Mountain Ballistics in the chat. Howdy, Hunter. Right, I'm saying the cleanest way of putting that story is a cougar in the neighborhood asked my dad to borrow me. She needed to turn on a valve in her jacuzzi. There was some drinking. Oh, geez, I'll let you guys read that. Nice, Brian. Annie Boyd saying, I seen the dead when I was 19 and twice when I was 21. That's pretty badass. Chris Cadman saying, Ari needs one of those propeller hats. Chris, I was just talking about getting one. I was just talking. First responder garage is saying, caps go front and back. Off to the side, you're just uneducated, to put it politely. Oh, yeah, like the kind of 90s, like, I don't know if I could do that. If there's sun, it goes like this. When there's no sun, it goes like this. Expect saying Chris Greenaway to tell you how things are. I've seen people open a car wash on a dirt lot and people take their cars there. Yeah, they'll go. Danny Boyd saying cul-de-sac. Yes, the cul-de-sac, just like the Van Morrison song. XJ David saying skullet. Mopar Man saying I like some Grateful Dead. I like the Dead a bunch. At Zero hates the Dead. Outlaw saying, "What's up, Ari? Not a whole lot, man. Just hanging out, just enjoying talking to everybody." Jeff saying, "I can't wear a hat. If I do, people give me pocket change and ask me if I'm okay." Uncle Corn Pop. Olive saying, "I saw the Dead in Maine in the '80s. I was one of two punkers there. That must have been kind of rad out there, Olive. I mean, that's pretty far north. It's all Stephen King and stuff. Plus, that's a good era to see him." That comes back saying the Dead created a lot of work for me in Vegas. They would blow up their VW vans on the way from LA, and one of my customers would do lean sales on them. Zero, does your butler warm up the dart in the morning? Because Mike's saying sun's out, guns out. Or does Mike have a video comment or what? Ad Zero saying, I do and will hate a lot of stupid things. I can't help it. It's hard to choose a favorite Dead song. I don't know. I think I don't know. I like that whole Europe '72 album a bunch. Working Man's Dead, of course. Those ones are good. You guys ever go see Dead the Music or the Atmosphere? I'm unenlightened. Danny Boyd saying, me, sun's out, guts out. Nice. Me too, man. Me too, Dan. Truckin's a great song. I don't think it gets enough credit. Jeff saying, Jive Hop Jeff saying, Mexican Spec, I saw the Dead in Chicago right before Jerry passed, and I've seen him as Dead and Company. Jeff, my mom and my brother used to go see those shows a lot. They would go and they'd see Mickey Hart with Planet Drum. They'd see Phil and Friends, and I never got to go. I was too young, so I mean, I got stuck with my grandma most of the time. But all of saying Eyes of the World or Box of Rain, those are two great contenders. Danny Boyd saying Shakedown Street's a great one. Mopar Man saying remember the band Fish. Yeah, I was never a big Fish fan. I was never a big Fish fan. I never liked Primus much. Never liked Fish much. My brother was into it for a while. He had like a Les Claypool phase and everything else, but I was never my thing really. First responder garage is saying, Landon, you keep wrestling with that manual tire machine, that will give you a workout. First responder, don't say nothing, man. He's probably going to start doing them by hand. He'll just start tearing off tires. Probably Roma's saying fish from Maine. I want to see Maine really bad. It's like I feel like it's like the exact opposite of where I came from. So kind of like Southern California, which is northern side of the East Coast there. Two Axe Garage is saying bird song live at Peony Coliseum. Yeah. Do 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 do. That's a good one. I remember saying in Seton beads with starting fluid. Yes. Chris Cadman saying, what do you think about the Chevy, about the Revy 4.8 LS? I'm unenlightened, Chris. Am I missing a joke again? Andy's saying fish. No, I used to listen to Real Big Fish. William Cavanaugh saying it's a small world, Ari. I found you through Uncle Tony, who I grew up 10 minutes away from. I found Uncle Tony through watching Steve Magnante. Small world, a great world. I'm glad to have you, William. You know what I mean? I'm definitely not the same caliber as Tony or Steve, but you know what I mean? I appreciate talking with everybody just the same. I always I gravitated towards Tony's videos because he was one of the only people who told me to run what I had. You know what I mean? Everybody's always telling me to replace this 6 cylinder and stuff. And I told Tony about it, and he's like, "That's awesome." You know what I mean? You just kept the car the way it was. That's cool. Yeah, and they know not to say that. If I hit up Tony and said, "Yeah, I just threw a nice built V8 into my truck," he'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's wrong." You know what I mean? But just the same, he was enthusiastic about it. He told me how to work with existing systems. You know what I mean? He'd do a little diagnosis video, and it's like, huh, like that was the problem the whole time. I didn't have to replace all three of the switches, really. Stuff like that. So I love Tony a bunch. He and Kathy have been so kind to Add Zero and I, and really cool and kind of bringing this group of people together. So that's really cool. You grew up by him. Must have been a tough place to grow up, brother. That's Zero saying Maine. What we learned from S. King books: dogs attack you. Never work at a hotel. Never bury your pet. The list. Never bury your pet. The list goes on. It's that road. The Indians knew that. And D saying Maine is awesome. Chris Greenway saying any car guy after turning the garage light on. Hello, darling. It's been a long time, and you look just. Oh, hello, darling. It's been a long time. I didn't realize you were fucking Conwaying me right now. You just Conwayed me, Chris. Damn. Jive Hop Jeff saying, I love concerts and music fest. Been over 300. The last good one was taking my son to see the Stones in 2019. He was 10 at the time. So what you're saying, Jeff, is your son's all set up to be a gangster. Yeah, Jeff, I love concerts too. I used to work concert security. Geez, a lady and I went to see the Violent Femmes last night. Kind of a cool one. Had a couple bands open up for him. One was just horrible, and the other was pretty good. These guys, obviously younger cats. It was kind of a weird band. One of them had this whole like Skinnerd look, and the other one had this like pop punk look. And the drummer he was doing the sneaky drummer thing the whole time. But they kind of rocked. They had some good tunes, and they switched to dub. They just went dub on me. I was like, I'd never seen a band do that live. Just go dub reggae on me. I was like, that's kind of cool. But the other band really sucked. Some Sublime covers. It was bad. Garage stuff. I don't know what they're doing opening up for the Violent Femmes. K Rock probably paid a lot of money. I don't know. 672E Galaxy in the chat. Late to the after. We're glad to have you. JB's Little Shop in the chat. Howdy, JB. I think I was just seeing you get that transfer case together, man. How was that? Charlie Roma's saying that I was 10 minutes from Tony in the 80s, another Staten Islander. So do you guys know Wu-Tang Clan? Like, are you guys any boys in Louisiana? I'm remembering saying Ari has. Chris Greenaway is saying, Ari, Tony's Leave It Alone video resonated with the formula with me. Yeah, you know what I mean? He's kind of one of the only ones preaching to keep some of the integrity of the old designs and everything else, which is kind of true. You know what I mean? Like he's always saying the guys that designed the atom bomb and stuff designed these cars, and it's like, uh, I mean, I can do better, really. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm going to search through JEGs and out engineer someone. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. To a certain degree, of course. You know what I mean? Someone like first responder could probably out engineer them, but not me. He's like, Fee is saying, Ari, why am I sub to you? Like, I don't recognize you or your car. Any idea what content I would have seen or made me subscribe? I almost never subscribe to people. Fee, it might have been on accident through the shorts feed. If you're just scrolling short, sometimes you'd accidentally hit subscribe. Glad to have you just the same. I hope I'm not bugging. Work on this here. Jeff saying, yep. Yeah, Jeff Jr. is kind of a badass. We got Woodchip in the chat. Woodchip, I saw your comment earlier. I've already converted to a alternator with an internal regulator. Thankfully, I have the voltage regulator on the core support still, but it's just kind of for show. I could delete it, but I don't. William Kavanaugh saying, "All right, what do you mean by going dub?" William, it's like the Clash used to do it with certain songs. They would be playing their song, and then they would switch to the style of dub reggae, which is like it's kind of offbeat, and they'll have echo and stuff. Like if you listen to the song "Kick It Over" or "No Justice Tonight" by the Clash, you'll hear what I'm talking about. Bad Tree Productions in the chat. Howdy, Blake. How are you, man? Saying the RZA. One poor man saying, I got to be security bouncer on the side when I was a longtime security officer. Got to see, listen, and get autographs from Van Blue Felix. Sounds badass. He's saying Tony who? Uncle? Yeah, Uncle Tony. Uncle Tony's garage. JB saying I still have issues, but I'm close. Hey, gotta work them out right. You know, I mean, it takes for me, it takes like 3 times of installing something before I get it right. So no, that'd be funny. I really should record my work so you guys can see me trip over myself, but I don't really edit yet, so it's kind of tough. You guys watch me. No one wants to watch me spend an hour changing a thermostat. I'm totally kidding. I'm not that bad. I'm pretty bad, but I'm not that bad. All I'm saying, old stuff really left a lot of meat on the bone for improvement. That's true. That's true. But I mean, it depends what you expect, Olive. You know what I mean? It's like if you just want it to function in its most basic way, you know what I mean? Again, old tech's hard. It's the way to go. It's simple. It's diagnosable. But again, like you're saying, like you would customize your suspension and everything else, different shocks, a sway bar, whatnot. That's not really going overboard at all. It's still a serviceable, simple enough system when you're done with it, right? I mean, Brian M saying what amazes me with old tech is what they did with very little computing power. That's for sure. Chris Greenway saying, Ari, you did a terrible Conway. I'm sorry, Chris. I mean, let me see if I can get a hello, darling. Nice to see you. I don't want, I can't sing Conway on here, Chris. I will cry in front of people. I don't want to do that. Cousin Abel saying, Ari, in this apocalyptic scenario we live in now, what would you not trade? Punk vinyl records, inline six Chevy engines, short likes on YouTube, or ammo? I can't give up my records, Abel, because when the bombs drop, I have to re educate the children. What will the children do without mid 80s hardcore punk? Woodchip saying, nothing is sacred, chop them all. Olive saying, also, it appears I've domesticated a June bug. Meet Horace. Hello, Horace the June bug. Welcome to the chat. Chris Greenaway saying, all right, I gave you an opportunity to start your second day job. Come on, man. P is saying that, Ari, I'm sure it was a short. I'm just curious about what would have caught my eye that made me sub so quick. What kind of project are you working on? V, I'm always working on my truck. It's a 1960 Chevy Apache 10. It's got the original stove bolt in it, the 6-cylinder, and I use it as a daily driver, and I drive it around California freeways and whatnot. So most of my shorts are kind of funny, just showing me cruising the truck. Some of them are like music video-ish. They'll have different tunes. Very few full-length videos, but I have the truck, and I also have a 64 Dodge Dart that I have a lot of intentions on working on, but I don't often work on. But besides that, not much. Danny Boy saying, rest in peace, Conway. Chris Cadman saying, took the Honda 550 Super Sport out for a ride yesterday. Love the sound of that tiny 4-cylinder engine. That's so badass, Chris. First Responder Garage is saying, Thunderdome is also 2 years behind schedule. Danny Boy saying, I saw the Clash in 83 or 84. Badass. He's saying, maybe Tony shouted you out and I followed because of that. Yeah, maybe if he shouts out the after show that I host, like this is the after show after the Tony. And he'll just I've moderated for his channel for years now, so you may have seen my name there. Fee, no, I don't run a shop. I work in a shop. I work for a shop called Full Throttle Restoration here in Southern California, and I do a lot of. I basically desecrate automobiles. I work on a lot of resto mods, stuff like that. William Kavanaugh is asking Charlie Roma, what part of the island are you from? Chris Cadman saying, seen the Clash many times. The best was in Detroit at the Fox with Iggy Pop before they rebuilt it. Damn, Chris, that would have. I'm jealous of that. That would have been a show. A show. Fee is saying, I would give up anything but an appendage in exchange for people refraining bringing up politics with every other breath. Fee, I'm with you. Sometimes the politics will get brought up on this show, and that's usually the more difficult streams for me. So, but despite that, everybody's able to kind of find some common ground, and we don't all hate each other. So that's pretty American in of itself. So I'm kind of proud of that. But yeah, Fee, generally on here, we'll talk projects, we'll talk a little bit of tech stuff. I'm not the most knowledgeable outside of, my own little box of stove bolt knowledge. But we talk about tech, we talk about, history, Americana, a lot of old movies. We talk about a lot of old movies, music, just general nonsense. You know what I mean? It's very lighthearted. We just yap on a Sunday night. Because that's often what we would do on Tony's live is yap, and then Tony's done for the evening, and everybody's still kind of talking. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to do an after show after the Tony. First responder garage is saying I found a truck with a stove bolt. It's a stack body GM 2.2.5 ton, I think. Stake body. First responder garage. That's not that the panel you were showing. No, you just said stake body. Sorry. That's got to be pretty cool, man. They used to use them for heavy duty purpose, and it's kind of hilarious to me because they're so underpowered for the job, but they still got it done. Cousin Abel saying, Ari, are you offering the dart for sale? Take it. Take the dart. Woodchip saying, I had a friend, white-faced hornet in the feed room at the farm. He used to buzz around. Oh, he's saying he had a white-faced hornet that was his friend. He used to buzz around my head eating flies. They're meat eaters. Got stuck in my hair one day and I accidentally killed it. Damn. Sad day. Chris Greenway saying all of it's okay. All of it says okay. Suspension is key, but I don't like these modernization of old cars. Just to like, who thinks 23-inch rims look good on a Roadrunner? Two Axe Garage is saying I could have never been a concert promoter. I'd book the Ramones and the B-52s at the same show and watch the crowd go into mass confusion. Jeff, it's kind of like that now, man. They're just polar opposites on the same lineup, and you know what I mean. The scenes are so muddled now because I mean they're kind of, let's face it, everything's kind of drawn out that no one cares. You know what I mean? Everyone's like, oh, this is I don't know. It's different than it was before. You couldn't have had a show like that without a riot in the past, and now everybody's just like, oh, cool, something different. John Marin was asking if I got to drive the old Thunderbird. Not yet. I've been bugging my boss about test driving it because that's one thing he's kind of weird about is I feel like he doesn't put enough miles on the cars we finish, and it kind of ends up putting more strain on the customers because they'll find issues and they'll bring it back, and of course he gets the work done, but just the same, it's like it's supposed to do that before the car leaves. But I'm definitely hell bent on driving that little car. It's running well. I got the choke adjusted, everything. It fires right up. The only noise I'm getting is off of the tack. The gear drive is making kind of a buzz. I don't know if that's a common thing. I've never dealt with a gear drive tack before. So, Brian, I'm saying we are all car people and tinkerers. Chris Cadman saying, how's about them politics these days? Oh, they're backwards. They're trying to turn us against each other. Chris Greenaway saying, all right, it's scary how us blue collar people can reach an opinionated debate and act like adults and reach a consensus, and our government reps act like 5-year-olds fighting over the same toy. Yes. Oh, I'm missing the Staten Island talk. Saying Charlie Rome on South Shore, Princess Bay, but hung out at the old pool hall in New Dorp back in the early 80s. What's up, bro? Badass. He's saying, Tara, don't toy with me. I need all the investment advice I can get. Got wiped out in this market. I'm sorry to hear that, Fee. I don't invest. Mongo is only pawn in game of life. 672E Galaxy saying I saw the Ramones in summer of 81. That's badass. All of same Mexican spec, mostly we didn't. John Marimba saying Tower of Power still put on one hell of a show. Never seen him live. Charlie Roma saying, William, I was there. The pool hall was mobbed up. Fox Plaza very shady. I picture like the movie Mean Streets. Like, is that accurate? Like, I picture like Tony, like kind of like Johnny Boy blowing up mailboxes and stuff. Uh, First responder garage is saying, Ari, the van is almost done for the Captain America movie. It's getting heavy. By the way, the new Chevy vans, thumbs down, cheap and flimsy. After adding 600 pounds of steel, it feels a lot better and stronger. I believe in first responder. Is it not? It's not one of those front wheel drive vans, is it? Because I know everybody's making those crazy Euro looking delivery vans, and they got the front wheel drive and that weird trailer axle in the back. He is saying modernization of old cars can be amazing, but 23-inch rims on a Roadrunner isn't modernization. It's brain matter leaking from the ear. Hey, brother Bear in the chat. Bear Rose Garage is saying, hey there, Ari and everybody. Great to see you all tonight. Great to see you too, brother Bear. Sorry I missed the pickup last night. I was out at a concert with the lady. Fee, I'm in agreement. Sometimes the modernization's kind of cool, especially, depending on the car. If it was completely torn to nothing, if it's been stripped or whatever, and you make a resto mod, sure. You know what I mean? I get it. And it's kind of cool getting into an old car and turning it on and the AC blows cold on you and everything. Like it's kind of cool. I get it. But I just try to keep things as simple as possible. You know what I mean? If I can fix it with a screwdriver, if I can diagnose it with my ear, you know what I mean? I feel like that's a safer route for me. Terrence Seymour is saying, Gur, I got dragged away from the live by a workmate. Now I'm off to dad's to help him fill in a vetting firm for firearm dealer's license. For a firearm dealer's license, the police are making me get for my job that I don't need. Some lovely bureaucracy, Terrence. For those that don't know, Terrence works at I believe it is the War Museum. I'm not sure about I don't know the exact title, but he's a curator there down in New Zealand. And he has to deal with a lot of historical firearms and what have yous of all shapes and sizes. So it's a pretty cool job. Very cool dude. He's got a munchkin cat named Mr. Greaves. And I believe in Mr. Greaves. Cat's great. Chris Cadman saying, I live north of Detroit, always like Grand Funk Railroad. Yes. William Kavanaugh saying, Charlie Roma, you know it. I was a hockey player for Tottenville. New Dorp hated us. Good old hockey. Opar Man said 1978 is saying, I saw on Facebook some moron put 23s or bigger on a 66 Charger and lowered it and was proud of it. Stage 4 cancer on wheels. That's pretty rough. Chris Greenaway saying, our last live discussion went political, but we all handled it like adults, discussed, and possibly walked away with different perspectives. But our reps rather die than move an inch. Yeah. Charlie Roma saying, yes, like Mean Streets, but only if you know. I love that fight scene in the bar. Like they all fight, but they still sit down and they have a sit down and still have the deal, but they end up like still kind of on edge. They fight again, leaving. William Kavanaugh saying Staten Island back in the day was a wild, wild place. I believe it, man. I have no doubts in my mind. It's funny to think that somewhere that corrupt could actually exist, but it sure as hell did. 672E Galaxy saying, I have a 2019 Ford Transit 250 Quigley 4x4 conversion. Transits are rear-wheel drive to start, though. And how does that thing treat you, man? Can you actually carry around any weight with it, or does it hold you up, or is it? Miss one fee saying, okay. I thought I missed something there. That happens a lot. Opar Man Night St. Aids, and that's where you stay in the city. Cousin Abel, I run a single barrel Rochester. I think it's a Rochester B or C. I forget the model, but just a normal single barrel Rochester. I think you have two of them on your workbench. Terrence Seymour is correcting me, saying National Army Museum of New Zealand. Yes, he is curator of the National Army Museum of New Zealand. Very badass dude. Cheers, Ari. See if you're still on when I'm done. Hope so, man. Hope to talk to you a little more. Charlie Rum was upstate now. Chris Cadman saying, "Oh, I have a problem with my radiator fan. Could you use your ear to diagnose?" You gotta check. You gotta check electrical connections like a 9-volt battery. Just put the tongue to it. And then Chris Greenaway saying it's the Wolfman live from the wire. It's a Wolfman live from the wire. American Graffiti is what heaven looks like from '79 back. Wolfman. I guess he was just doing the Howlin' Wolf voice. Good old Howlin' Wolf. If you ain't bleeding from your lungs, you ain't had the blues. William Kavanaugh saying, "Cool, I got you. I'm in South Carolina. Couldn't take it anymore." B is saying, "Often it comes down to an old car plus a modernized motor, brake suspension improvements, or that car being off the road entirely. I'll take more old cars in any form on the road versus perma park." Yeah, exactly, Fee. Sometimes it's like, all right, well, my notion is like whatever allows you to get more miles on them. You know what I mean? If you're gonna do this to your car and it's gonna be like, all right, I'm comfortable driving this thing now, I'm actually gonna use it. That makes a difference to me. 'Cause so many people, they go through modernizing their entire car and it just sits. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how many cars we deal with like that, I at work. And it's enough to where like I'm enthused when somebody comes through that actually uses their car and gives a shit and is excited about the work we're doing. It just makes such a difference for me. Like we did that work on the CUDA and the 440, and the guy came through and he just checking it out, and he was so happy. Gave me a hug. You know what I mean? I was like, that's that's why I do what I do. You know what I mean? Like I hope you're stoked on it. You know what I mean? I know I don't think I'm doing anything that amazing, but again, it's something you pay me to do, and you're happy about it. So it's like that's badass. If you actually care about your car, it's a huge difference to me. I think. As you're saying, this guy's a mook. A mook? What's a mook? Can't call me a mook. Cousin Mike saying, "I actually paid attention for once today. The tracker is getting 28 miles per gallon. Pretty good. That's really good, man. I'm a little jealous." Cousin Abel saying, "All right, I have a bunch of B series Rochesters, a few single barrel Holly." Yeah, I think that's the one, Cousin Abel, the Bs. I have a couple of rebuild kits and stuff. If you need, I'm probably, once I get that V8 in there, I think my Rochester days will be over. 672E Galaxy saying, "Yeah, it's a capable rig on and off road, not a beast, but it meets my needs and never let me down." Well, that's what matters, as long as it suits your purposes. First responder garage is saying 28 to the gallon's not bad. I don't think so either. That's real good. Mexican Spec saying, "With these heavily modified cars, how does the second or third owner after the mods find parts if they don't know where they came from?" 72 Galaxy saying, "The wolf, that's beautiful." Now listen, peoples. Brian M saying, "Landon Custom Classics. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the tracker a Suzuki Samurai?" Chris Cadman saying, "Ari, I can see the reflection in Ari's glasses. He's watching porn." That is art, Chris. That is art. That is not pornographic. I think Kavanaugh saying, "Charlie Roma took drum lessons at the Lane Music for years." Cousin Abel's saying that I have 20 to 25 single barrel carburetors. Let me know if you want to play with them to see what sort of performance, if any, you can offer your rig. That would be really cool, actually. I believe it was Brother Bear who was telling me to lose the Rochester because it's killing my top end. Just live around the corner, past that place every day. That's cool. You guys are neighbors, man. You were saying though, small world, huh? Brother Bear saying, "I hear you, man. I was at the resto shop. It was the same thing, but the cars and trucks we did, they never did see the road when we were done." Yeah, it's kind of a bummer, right? It's like you just know that like someone wants something to have it, not use it, which is, that's totally their right. You know what I mean? Do whatever you want. But when people come through with cars they use, it's like a whole different, It's just a whole different vibe. I try to put love into every inch of what I do rather than just throw it together. It's the same thing with that Thunderbird. You know what I mean? I tried to spend some serious time on that thing. I tried not to alter any work that I felt like the gentleman might have done himself. Then he comes in and tells me, that his father gave him the car and it was something that he drove with his late wife and everything. And it just made me feel good. It's like, yes, you did good by this car. You did everything you could without costing the boss a bunch of money. So makes a difference to me. Olive's talking about low profile tires. I do not like low profile tires. XJ David saying, Terrence, does your museum have a channel? David, he's got some videos of the museum up, but most of his videos are of his cat, Mr. Greaves, because I believe he would post videos of the museum and they would get no views, and he posts Mr. Greaves, and Mr. Greaves is pretty badass, so he got a lot of views. Chris Greenway saying, Fee, I'm going to argue guys who take numbers matching cars that don't try first and start removing homage and it's just a shell and go to the dealership for a fee. Yeah, I feel you. Like a gentleman brought in a Corvette. I think it was a 54 Corvette. And I mean, it was completely original. Had the 235 in it, had the power glide, had three, there, I think there are Carters, three Carters, side draft carburetors on there. I forget the model. And he was talking about chassis swapping it, getting like a roadster shop chassis and turning that thing into a full-on midlife crisis, which again, that's totally his right. It's his car. Do whatever you want with it. But in that same breath, it's like, if you're going to change everything about the car, why not just keep this car that's a museum piece? And instead of spending 150 grand on changing every single aspect of it, just keep that car and spend the money elsewhere. Get that chassis, get a fiberglass body, whatever it may be. It didn't make sense to me. It was like a museum piece. And as sad as it is, in the back of my head, I was hoping that he would do the swap. That way there'd be that tricarb intake and the split exhaust manifold for a 235 sitting around the shop. I would have bought it. Sorry, guys, a little rant there. William Cavanaugh's having a senior moment. At least you're having a senior moment, man. I'm like 30. I can't remember a damn thing. Clawson Street. All right. Brother Bear saying a Potbelly Rochester is an okay car, but only at mid throttle. It's too fat at idle and then lean at wide open throttle. Yeah, Brother Bear, I feel that. I feel that with my foot. I feel it in my soul. He is saying, Chris, if someone is putting $10,000, et cetera, into an old car, I support pretty much whatever they're doing. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, Fee. It's like, it's their car. They're going to do what they want to do with it. Who am I to say, what to do with your own vehicle, especially if you're paying for it? Within reason, of course. I don't want to do anything stupid. Whatever allows them to put miles on the thing. You know what I mean? Whatever is going to be like, I feel comfortable in this car and I'm going to use this rather than my modern car. There's a couple customers like that come through. There's a guy, Dean, who's got a bubble top Impala and he's got an early 70s C10. He drives the hell out of them. He doesn't really get major work done because he uses them so much. He doesn't want them up on the rack. And I respect the hell out of the guy just for using them. It's kind of funny. Stu David saying cats are cool, but I like cats are cool and all, but I like military history, mainly military developmental history. I'm weird like that. No, I'm with you, David. I'm not the most versed, but I appreciate it just the same. I like a lot of old naval history. I don't know why. It's really boring, but also really captivating. He is saying that all you can do is try to educate them on better options. Yeah, definitely. And that's something my boss does. He tries not to do anything too gimmicky. My biggest complaint is all the CVF stuff we're using lately. CVF makes a lot of that CNC aluminum hood hinges. They make rotating assemblies and all that. And it's belt drive, everything, it's good stuff. It looks really nice, but it's not like we've had two sets of hood hinges where hardware was snapping off of them. They flexed enough to mar paint, It's just they're kind of hard to work with. That's my biggest issue right now is all that CVF stuff. But besides that, I feel like we do a lot of good work. Mopar man saying I finally got all four factory Steelies that I blasted and painted on tires for the Valiant. Badass. Cousin Abel saying Primo Ari, great hanging out. I got to fulfill some late family duties. However, I'm serious about racing the pickup trucks. One race off the road or trailer. No free runs. $5 plus beer. Cousin Abel, I'm so up for that, man. That'd be a fun race. We'd have to film the hell out of it for everybody. But I'm totally up for it. You're probably gonna win. Oh, poor man. Saying, all right, one of the funny ones I saw was a new generation Challenger with a Cookie Monster airbrushed onto the hood. Yes. Auto Salvage Outlaws is saying that Barrows guy is great. He's a great guy, gives good advice. Oh yeah. I like Brother Bear a bunch because he's always like a few steps ahead of me. He's already dealt with whatever I'm dealing with. So he's like, all right, you're probably gonna run into this. And then I run into that and I'm like, well, geez, at least I got people looking out for me. First Responder Garage finally hit 1,000 subs. Well deserved, brother. Well deserved. I feel like you should have way more. I I feel like you're kicking ass, man. I always appreciate the videos. You got some great projects, everything else. A lot of great knowledge to be had. If you guys aren't subscribed to First Responder Garage, I'm fairly certain most of you are. There's some new people here though, so please subscribe to First Responder Garage. You will not be sorry. He's got some great stuff over there. Great stuff. A lot of food for thought. Keeps the cogs turning. Leaves newer folks like me kind of dumbfounded. I'm like, oh man, I would have never thought of it that way. He was just doing a video about spring pressure under forced induction. And I mean, I was sitting there with like my mouth open, like, really? Like, and this is, he's just rattling stuff off, that's going through his brain. But for me, it's like, life changing. Please subscribe to First Responder Garage. When it comes to naval history, William Kavanaugh saying when it comes to naval history, at least the last 70 years, you're not going to beat the USA. Chris Greenway saying they only dig graves 6 feet deep by 4 feet wide by 9 feet tall. Cousin Abel say, no way, Ari, no way, Ari, you have two extra cylinders. I'm gonna have to do some work, man. I'm gonna have to hop that thing up. Charlie Roma saying William Lane music on Lane and Clausen. Still pass that almost every day. Rustic at Richmond, pass that every day. I should be a musician. There's a music school across the way, and I kind of one of the parents was talking to me, and they told me, oh yeah, I'm just waiting for my son at the music school, and I made a joke about I didn't realize it was a music school. I thought it was a Hebrew school. It didn't go over well. I should basically not be allowed in public, is what I'm saying. Well, yeah, cousin Abel, have a great night, brother. Thanks for stopping in. I always appreciate you, man. Text me soon. Let me know if you want to meet up, do whatever, man. I'd be happy to see you, brother. And the race sounds great to me. Have a great week out there. Thanks for stopping in. Check your fluids. William Kavanaugh. Okay. Saying, very good, bro. You got it. Move. The best is in the chat. Welcome, the best. He's saying my 70 Cougars hinges just went. Can they be rebuilt or replaced? I'm fairly certain the best. I mean, there's those aftermarket replacements from CVF, which again I really wouldn't. They look great, but I wouldn't recommend them, especially I don't know if you don't have a lot of spare hardware to be replacing on them as it snaps. They'll have things like they'll have a machine screw that's only into the body of whatever it's trying to hold down, like two threads or something, and then you get the proper size screw and you realize that it's because now that you have the proper size screw it interferes and scratches the rest of the hinge. It's a little bit maddening. I would not suggest any CVF anything, but I'm sure you could find something out there the best. I know they make some aftermarket parts for those Cougars. I don't know if Mustang stuff is adaptable. I'm a little ignorant there, but I'm sure you can find something. Arrow's Garage is saying, I just like being in all your corners. Some of that stuff is me asking my dad. The only thing I know is that I don't know it all. Yeah, me too, Brother Bear. All I know is that I don't know nothing. But I appreciate it just the same, man. You always got my back. And then you and Mike looking at the exhaust manifolds in the junkyard, that means a lot. You know what I could use though, if you're out there in the junkyard and you manage to see one, is the post, the posts that hold up the valve train on the 235. I think there's four of them, maybe five. But the rear one I have is cracked. So I'd like to replace that. And I can't find one on eBay for the life of me. First Responder Garage is saying, hey, so I've got two channels, and I think around your 200th or so. I forget what I was a while back. All I'm saying, American site TireRack.com has some international, I can't guarantee cheap, but I had to do it for 15s in the pandemic tire crisis. Arrow's Garage is saying, I don't like those hinges either. The ones for the Tri-5 Chevys are not good at all. Yeah, Brother Bear, they're a little funky, right? I mean, they're brand new and they're flexing and they're snapping hardware. They're not exactly cheap either. 672 Galaxy saying, thanks for the after party, Ari. Got to say goodnight, all. Check your fluids. Can you send me off with some of that old timey broadcaster voice? Well, ever since we started making our timing gears out of jute twine and leftover sea rations, people have been on the side of the road all the time. Now remember, folks, you got to make sure to put sacrificial parts in these old stove bolts. Otherwise, they'll just keep running. And 672 Galaxy, you have a great week. Check your fluids. First Responder Garage is saying, waiting for transpans, nuts, and timing the distributor. Oil pan is full of oil. Hopefully a first start soon. Nice, man. Getting there. Greenaway saying, people need to realize your prized possession is only yours for a good time and not a long time. If you don't allow polite kids to sit in a thing or touch the car, you're poisoning the hobby with slow death. Yeah, you can't be too cool. You can be too cool. You got to be too cool, but I mean, it's like too cool, like have a wallet chain or a leather jacket or something. Don't be too cool to show the kids, the hobby. Chris Greenaway saying the best called Don Rush on WCCC. That's West Coast Classic Cougar. He has a lot of refinished or new parts for the Cougar. Nice. Chris Cadman saying, Ari, I bought a piano colored Tri-5 Gretsch guitar. Damn, Chris, I'm a little jealous of that. 672 Galaxy, you're welcome, brother. Have a great week, man. Check your fluids. All I'm saying, also, Cooper Tire may make things not stocked everywhere. Huh. I don't know. I like the Wranglers I have on the truck just because they're cheap Walmart tires. They're easy to replace, but I'm tempted to put something a little nicer on there, especially with the V8 coming. XJ David saying, that's the voice I heard when I read The Grapes of Wrath. David, that's funny. I'm always joking about the Steinbeck books because everybody's talking about California being sunny and perfect and everything else. I'm like, no, this place is horrible. It's just like a Steinbeck novel. It's just modern now. Arrow's Garage is saying, if I remember right, those posts are different from the early center valve, center bolts to the new style like yours, but I think there are some out there. I have it written down and we'll look for you. Thanks so much, Brother Bear. I wish there was somewhere like that out here. I think there might be a junkyard towards Mexico or in Mexico that has some of that old stove bolt stuff, but I don't know about it. And I need to find out, maybe look, because it'd probably just be fun, make for a good video at the very least. One poor man saying, I don't know if Pep Boy sells Connell tires, but they're made by Cooper. Ad Zero's had me on, at least I've used them on my lady's car and everything else. He's had me on Douglas tires for a long time. He was saying they're kind of an off brand of Goodyear. Chris Cadman saying cream and gold with a Bigsby. Damn, I'm jealous, Chris. That's a nice guitar. Liam Kavanaugh saying, Ari, thanks for another great Sunday night. You and Uncle Tony are the best. Night night, buddy. Thanks so much for stopping in, William. Really glad to have you. You guys add so much to the conversation. I'm stoked you guys were catching up. That's funny. You and Charlie grew up so close to each other. And, I appreciate you guys. You guys are badass. You, Tony, Charlie. You know what I mean? I like folks around here, that's for sure. Have a great week. Be safe out there. Check your fluids, man. Mopar man saying grabber brand tires are good, especially the all seasons. All I'm saying, I missed my Dunlop GT qualifiers. I could do anything in those things. Chris Greenway is saying the best I believe there's a guy named John Cougars, Maurice, but I don't know. Don Rush knows his stuff and will repair parts for you if you send in the cores, etc. for trade bucks. Nice. X-Conspec saying all up on the tire rack. The 235 60 14s are 156.99 per tire. Damn. Chris Cadman saying, how's them taxes in California? Evil, Chris. This place is evil. It's trying to kill us all. The only thing that isn't trying to kill you is the weather. Anyway, saying Cooper now makes BF Goodrich white letter series Coker. That would be cool. I like the white. I really like the white lettering on the truck. I used to have 1 inch, like 1.5 inch white walls on there, which I also liked a lot. But I feel like the raised lettering kind of put a little edge on it. It looked less cream puff, looked less lowridery. It looked more like just a truck. I don't know. Mopar man saying Douglas X Track, Walmart cheap specials, ran those on my darts for years. Yeah, yeah. Mopar man, I again, you know what I mean? It's always I run into issues and I don't want to run into them again. I had those white walls. One of them got uneven tread wear and I could not replace it. I could not find the same tire for the life of me. It's a cheap Chinese white wall. I paid $450 for the set years and years ago, and I could not find another one for the life of me. So I'm like, I'm going to get some Goodyear Wrangler radials. That way I can get a tire no matter where I'm at. They're cheap. I know Salvage Outlaw saying I like Cooper tires. I love Coopers. Those would be nice to have. Mopar man saying tech tip: don't use any of the tire shines. They have petroleum products in them. XJ David saying I just got a set of Nitto Extreme Terrain mud grabbers. If anyone cares, mud grapplers. That's pretty badass, David. Those mud tires are so damn cool. They got that crazy sidewall tread and everything else. Barrels Garage is saying there's a casino south of San Diego, almost in Mexico, called Vegas, something like that. But there's a junkyard on that reservation that has some of those stoves. Oh, I know what you're talking about, Brother Bear. They used to have sanctioned MMA fights down there, and I'd go with my buddy to help corner his fighters. I know what you're talking about. Maybe I could look that up because I think that's Escondido. That's really not far. I mean, I'm in San Juan Capistrano, so I'm practically in Mexico. Charlie Roma saying, I like my BF Goodrich, black side out. Maybe you have to switch it up and look like an old timer. Actually, David saying they're sick. Yeah, man, those things are pretty gnarly. Opar man saying use Chemical Boys vinyl rubber plastic conditioner. Chris Cadman saying you can glue on white wall strips. Mexican Spec saying I just can't see spending more than 25 per tire. GTI Warrior saying I put some cheap used tires on my beater today. Hey, whatever works if the tread's good. I used to never ever be picky about it, but yeah, I mean, after I had my son, I was like, you know what, I'm going to spend a little bit more on tires. Driving a baby around and stuff. I better go ahead and just spend a couple hundred. Barrow's Garage is saying, yeah, that's the one. Okay, so maybe I just need to look it up. Maybe it's Googleable. It's like just find out where it is. I'll check them out because it saves you guys some footwork. That'd be good. Fia saying, okay, my comment was moderated for the YouTube link, I'm guessing. Yeah, it won't let you post links unless you're moderated. Saying, anyone watch the two stroke stuffing channel and his self designed and manufactured two spec 50cc 30,000 RPM blow motor built for his Aprilia? No, I haven't seen that, Fee. I've not seen that at all. If any of the moderators don't mind trying to find that video and linking it, please. That sounds pretty interesting for everybody. Rose Garage is saying my daughter isn't far from there. I'm sorry she's stuck down here, Brother Bear, but no, I'm kidding. It's beautiful down south. It really is. Especially the more you get out into the hills and stuff. It's kind of like a western backdrop almost. Huh? Auto Salvage Outlaw is saying there's a big junkyard in Texas that has nothing but old Fairlanes I used to buy from. Damn. Chris Cadman saying screw spending on brakes, put into tires. I don't mind the drum brakes. Everybody talks a lot of crap on them, but it's I mean the way I drive, especially with the stove bolt, I don't do a lot of hard braking unless it's someone else's stupidity generally. And I do all right. So I mean, not to say I'd turn my nose up at some Willwoods or some Bear Brakes or something, but that's a lot of money. Chris Greenaway saying the problem is the white letter is either Firestones or BF Goodrich or Goodyear Cooper Cobras. I wish they'd put a hobbyist selection like ZZDP, ZDDP sold in oil, customers, etc. to help our cars. Chris Greenaway, they started selling the Castrol Classic with high zinc. I don't know. I've only bought the 2050, but they might have different weights. Chris Cadman saying, as a Canadian, we got all the two bikes. Most of my bikes are two strokes. Nice. Chris Cadman, have you ever run that Klotz two cycle oil? It smells so. The guys in the shop run it, and they're in their two stroke bikes, and it smells so damn good. It's like incense or something. The Klotz two stroke with 110. That was like it was like pure perfume. ETI Warrior saying drum brakes and carburetors. They worked fine for decades, but everybody acts like they're junk for some reason. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you work on diesels, Chris. So I mean, it's like drum brakes are still used in heavy application. It's not like it's obsolete technology at the very least. It's just people don't want to deal with them. Fee saying, how did people listen to music in cars before radios? Drum brakes. Chris Cabin saying, yes, castor oil. Nice. Yeah, the clots. That stuff's really perfumy. Chris Greenaway saying, I know people hate on Quaker State, but my car being an original car, I can see why it gained a following. My car loves it. Hey, whatever works. Mexican Spec saying Tony switched his car from disc to drum. He said there is more braking surface. That's actually got to be one of my like top 5 favorite Uncle Tony videos. Is the case for drum brakes. The best is saying Rotella T4 by Shell. I love Rotella too. It's a little bit more expensive now, so I for 5 quarts of the Castrol Classic, it's about $25, and for 4 quarts of the Rotella, it's about 19ish. So I always just buy. I'd rather just buy the 5 quarts, unless of course you can get the. I think it's a 10 quart container, the 2.5 gallon of the Rotella. That'll save you some money. I've done that before. Because my truck doesn't even have an oil filter on it, so I try to change the oil. Lately it's been monthly because I had really low oil back in January. I'd been distracted just working a bunch and the holidays and everything. I hadn't changed the oil on the truck and it was low. That pissed me off. I don't like letting my truck get like that. So he's saying two strokes are special for bikes and such, especially. The power band is wild in comparison. I've never ridden a two-stroke bike, at least like a full-size two-stroke. He is saying, Chris, you guys in Canada have those three wheelers and off road trikes of death that were banned in the USA in the 70s. Jealous. I've messed with the Honda Big Reds. My buddy was riding one in front. We were teenagers. He was riding one in front of me. We were riding around this vineyard, just kind of messing around, shooting with our 22s. And we were going up this hill, and he flipped the Honda Big Red, of course. And me being so worried, I jumped off the quad I was riding, left it in gear, and it rolled over his old nylon 66 22 rifle, and it bent the magazine, the tube magazine that goes in it. And I still feel bad about that. I still feel like an ass about that. God, what are you gonna do? Chris Cadman saying drum brakes are good for the first stop, the second in a row, not so much. Well, our man just linked a chase scene. Chris Cadman saying, I own an RZ 500 Yamaha. Badass. GTI Warrior is saying that the Rotella formula changed in the last few years. They took a lot of the ZDDP out of it. It's still great oil. Yeah, I mean, I like to just add the zinc to whatever I'm running. The Castrol, I don't. I've never ran Royal Purple. I ran VR1 a few times, but I generally just get that Rizlone ZDDP and I add that to whatever oil I have. Chris Greenaway saying drums are far better. Here's the thing: people aren't willing to maintain them, or we go disc and never worry about it. No, I have an '08 Dakota and replace the discs more than the rear drums. Drums paired with front discs, perfect combo. That's true. People don't maintain disc brakes properly either, though. That's a constant problem. I mean, I've dealt with 2 or 3 cars snapping rotor bolts and they're not rotor caliper bolts and stuff like that. You know what I mean? People just don't service cars. Is a lot of it. But Chris Cadman saying the three wheelers are called clavicle breakers. Fee is saying you literally have to relearn to ride two-stroke versus four-stroke in any remotely fast way. Two strokes are like somewhere between VTEC and a little turbochargers. A power band kicks like a mule. That sounds fun, Fee. Because I mean, the one time, I mean, I've ridden bikes a couple times, but it's always out in the desert here. And what's most fun to me is just getting places I shouldn't be, climbing hills and everything else. I feel like a power band like that would, I mean, I'd probably kill myself somehow, but it'd be a lot of fun. Mopar Man saying you can go to your local farm or tractor supply store and buy the farm machinery oil in the same weight, and it has all the ZDDP. Yeah, Mopar Man, I probably have to drive a little while to find a tractor supply. They have them out here, just more rural areas. First responder garage is saying people put too much faith in ZDDP and phosphorus. It's not that. It's just garbage parts, period. Look at the Godzilla motor Ford has. 30,000 miles and the motor is done. They eat cams. I'm with you, first responder, but I don't know. I feel like with the flat tappets and everything, solid lifters, I always just ran the zinc just as a, I don't know, it makes me feel better at the very least. That much metal on metal. It's like I got to do what I can, right? Chris Gavin saying, no power, then tack in the face wheelie on a two-stroke bike. Sounds fun. Yeah, first responder. I made sure to add some zinc to this last oil change with the new aluminum timing gear. And I'll probably drain that tomorrow and throw in some better oil. I try to get the Castrol. Lucas has that hot rod oil. It's a high zinc, and it's really not that expensive compared to other oil from O'Reilly's. It's like I spend $25 on the most generic, and it's like I can get Lucas hot rod oil with zinc for $40. It's kind of a steep difference, I guess. But just the same, I think it's pretty cool. Lucas. Brian M saying there's a Tractor Supply in Lake Elsinore. Just drive up Ortega Highway, go check it out. My truck on Ortega doesn't sound like fun, Brian. Oh, poor man saying it's funny how they think ZDDP and vehicles will pollute the environment, but not at the farm or ranch. Stupid hippies in office. Yeah, there's some irony there. I feel the same. I always feel like that. You know what I mean? Like that whole environmental crap is. It's the same thing as them telling me to reduce my water consumption when there's a drought. It's like, really? Do you want me to? I can't water my lawn. Like, really? Like, meanwhile, everything on an industrial level is just. Anyway, I could go on forever. I'm rambling. You know what I'm talking about. The thing. He is saying, Chris, exactly. Learn to manage it properly, but at first it's a shock. If you watch dirt bikers try to ride a berm on a two-stroke and they're used to four strokes, they'll drop the bike. So it's a lot. Like, is it just more shifting with the two-stroke, staying in that power band, or is it just keeping watching your RPMs, all that? I guess. Best is saying, how long would it take to wipe a cam down without ZDDP? I think you're talking about the Godzilla motor. I'm not sure. I have no experience with that. First responder garage is like a real mechanic. He's not an antique collector with wrenches like me. Chris Greenaway saying it was removed because it ruined the catalytic converter. Look at late 70s, 80s cars or what's left of them. Okay. Because they slowed down too much, thinking there's torque down low. Okay, so it's like up higher up in the power band. I see what you're saying. That sounds fun. Girls Garage is saying two-stroke dirt bike is like a Mazda rotary. Zero torque, all horsepower. He is saying, yeah, it's understanding where the power is. You can't get off of them. Sounds fun. Definitely sounds fun. I like it. You know what I mean? Dirt biking was fun for me because I never really did sports or nothing, and I did like high school wrestling and stuff. That was short lived, but I felt like I did a couple things on the bike, and I was like, whoa, like that was pretty damn cool. Like I probably looked cool right now. I don't know. It was just fun. It was really cool. I found myself doing things that I would normally be very apprehensive of doing, and having success. So that was kind of cool. One poor man saying, I also believe in BG oil additives, MOA mixed with RF7 picks up where ZDDP leaves off for viscosity and won't affect O2 sensors. Heroes Garage is saying like a weed eater or a chainsaw. You have to have it spinning or you get nothing. Well, that makes total sense. C. Rome was out for the night saying, thanks for all the great info. Thanks so much for stopping in, Charlie. Glad you and William caught up a little bit. That's cool. You guys grew up by each other, man. That really is cool. I always appreciate you stopping in, and I hope you have a great week out there. Check your fluids, Charlie. Uh, Chris Greenway saying the best if you're doing a rebuild, save the roller rocker, but if it's good, it's a good engine, less of a worry. Chris Cadman saying I have a Suzuki GT750 that is torquey. All bottom, no top. Bikes like that are fun too. They're always there, like trying to get rid of you. There's some pretty cool places out here, Chris. There's like dunes. The place I rode was called Ocotillo Wells. A lot of sand, a lot of deep sand, and everything else. So I had to kind of be on it. He is saying, yeah, they're fun as hell, sound great too. Lots of pro riders say that four strokes make you lazy. It's ideal to learn on two stroke. It instills very good habits. Chris Greenaway was saying, Ari, I'd watch my vintage iron video on those zinc additives, make you change your mind on adding them to stock oil. I'll check it out, Chris. I've always added that same one. I feel like the truck likes it. The happiest I feel like the truck's been though is with that Castrol, the 2050 classic oil, the high zinc. I she likes it, so I think that's what I'm going to order from now on. First responder garage is saying, wait till I tell you guys what I found comparing John Deere High Guard against O'Reilly's tractor oil. I'm gonna have to check that out. First responder. Chris Cadman saying my RZ500 hits about 7,000 and screams to 12,000. They're street bikes. These are street bikes. Yes. Chris is like, he's putting on this face. He's like, oh, I'm just chilling, with my old dog here, but he's a full on adrenaline junkie with the street bike. That's badass, Chris. The street bikes scare me because it's like my eyes aren't that good. I don't process information that fast to ride something that quick. I really do not. Chris Cadman saying, always ride two-stroke dirt bikes. I sure wish I had one. The guys at the shop go riding, and it'd be cool to go out and ride. I don't really want to see them, you know what I mean, outside of work, but it'd still be cool to go. Just kidding. It'd still be cool to go ride. Chris Greenaway saying it doesn't blend properly and will end up completely over time being in the oil filter and causing issues in areas. Chris, I think I might have seen that buildup in the engine a little bit. There was a little bit of sludge at the bottom of the pan, but I don't even run an oil filter. I got a magnet. The best is saying 351 Cleveland runs good, not rebuilt yet. Hey, as long as it runs. All I'm saying, I'm back. Sorry, we had a net outage here. It's okay. You're excused this time, Olive. Welcome back. How is Horace? Chris Greenaway saying pan and pickup mostly. Mopar Man saying, people rip on SuperTech oil products from Walmart, but the oil comes from a refinery here in the USA. Geez, I don't know. Whatever works. I know a lot of people that ran cheap oil. You know what I mean? I run Castrol mostly because John Force. No, I'm kidding. I just like Castrol. First responder garage is saying, what if I told you the difference between tractor transmission oil and car transmission oil is a red dye? I've got tractor oil in all my transmissions. First responder, I mean, if you do it, I I trust you, man. I trust you, man. That's pretty rad. That probably saves you a few bucks for sure, because ATF is not cheap. He is saying that two strokes compete against four strokes twice their displacement. It's more like just having a big turbo on a bike or something. Chris Cadman saying we have some big dunes on Lake Huron. Two strokes love it. Olive saying, do not touch SuperTech oil, Mopar, man. It turns into flat coke fast. Rusty Junk Garage is out for the night. Saying, got to get up early, catch some cutthroat trout in the morning. Still bolts rock. Have a great night, Steve. Thanks so much for stopping in, brother. Really appreciate you mentioning me in the video, and I appreciate the thought, brother. It's probably beautiful up there. I'm a little jealous, so have a great week. Check your fluids, man. XJ David saying, oh, I hate that. I have wireless, so I lose net every time the wind changes. Girls Garage is saying, yeah, the additive stuff, it's okay, but if I use it, I dump the oil in a 5-gallon bucket, add the additive, and mix it with a paint mixer before I dump it in. But I usually buy it already in to avoid that. Oh, so you guys are saying it doesn't blend well, it separates from the oil itself and kind of just creates its own thing? I could see that. I could see that. I always saw it as like a little insurance. With that old stove bolt, I was like, it's 10, 12 bucks. If it makes it last a little longer, why not? First responder garage is saying there are only a certain number of foundries. Not every brand of oil has a factory. Mopar man saying, "What is flat Coke?" I think she's saying that the oil looked like thin, flat Coca Cola. Excuse me. First responder garage is saying $56 for 5 gallons, where 7176 and ATF plus three is $9 a quart. Oh yeah, geez. First responder, I want to try it now. I mean, I guess there's an automatic transmission in the Dart. He is saying, yeah, y'all been seeing these shorts and videos of the guy that makes his own diesel from used ATF and basically any other petroleum derived products nearby. Yeah, yeah, I've watched that guy a little bit. He uses like old petroleum products and he mixes them with like almost varnished out gasoline. He says he sources from junkyards. So he's cutting ATF with gasoline and making his own diesel. That guy's going to end up getting Clinton soon. Chris Greenaway is saying, Chris Cabin, where are you located, my guy? Chris Cabin saying Sarnia. I think that's by Narnia. I don't know. Chris Greenaway is from Wingham, 25 minutes left of Godrich. Far north places that I've never been. Chris Cabin saying, go to Walton. Chris Greenaway saying, been there a time or two. Far north. You guys are up there. All I'm saying, wherever it's made, oil has little semi triangular seals about requirements it meets. No engine is cheap enough for super tech. Dave Lewis is saying Hot Shot Secret FR3 friction reducer is good stuff. Local company to me. I'll have to check that out, Dave. Mopar man saying I don't run lightweight oils in my engines. 1030 gets 1540. High mileage stuff gets thicker oil. 020 or 520 is dumb. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you have like a newer car that has the tolerances for it or whatever, sure, run the 0 or 5. But I mean, I run the heavier oil in the truck. I've run 1540 for years. I really like the 2050. For the slant six, I was really tempted just to run straight 30 weight. But I'm not sure on that. Chris Greenway saying, "Are you search how far away it is and then doing your six bang?" Hot shot secret FR3 friction reducer. Oh, I got a pen. Do have a pen. Look at that. Look at that. I'm fancy. Sweet. XJ David saying, Mopar Man 1970. I don't know what happened. What would happen to the VVT engine with heavy oils? GTI Warrior saying, I run Super Tech in my beater Buick. It's cheap and I hate that car anyway. Yeah, but I guess it really depends on your application. You know what I mean? It's like you want to maintain a car, but there's almost no purpose in using higher quality components because of the condition of the vehicle. I could see that. That makes sense. You know what I mean? It's like at least you're changing the oil on it. Most people don't do that with their beaters. They just add oil. Mopar Man saying people don't realize in summer months the engine heats, it drops the viscosity quite a bit. Mopar Man, that was my worry out here because it gets warm. You know what I mean? It's not even that cold during the winter, but it gets warm during the summer, 80, 90 plus. And driving that truck around, I wanted to kind of maintain as much oil viscosity as I could. So I bought the 2050. She liked it. Like I said, Chris Cadman saying scaring myself on the motocross track. All I'm saying, Mopar Man, don't use cheap stuff and you won't need thicker than spec. I kind of caught some flack for using such a heavy oil. People are like, "Why are you putting that? You want to just like put some mollygraph in there or something?" I'm like, "What if I could?" Chris Brader saying, "Literally 20 minutes down the road, Goderich has show this weekend at the 20, 10 to 2 at the stairs." Huh. Mopar Man saying, "XJ David, what weight does it recommend and how many miles?" First responder garage is saying, "Thick oil, big eddy currents, thin weight, and small eddy currents. Small is less heat and drag. I run 1540 Valvoline blue in everything. It's $20 a gallon. Ari, I'd run blue in your truck." You talking about the VR1 or just it's just Valvoline blue? Just okay. Writing it down. I trust you, first responder. I'll try it. I will try it. Mopar Man uses Rotella. GTI Warrior saying, I usually don't think to change the oil till I'm about triple interval, which at 700 miles a week doesn't take very long. Geez, that's a lot of driving, Chris. I don't know how much I drive. What, about 300, 400 miles a week, maybe. God, I'm horrible at math. Miracle I get anything done. Yeah, well, yeah, about 300 miles a week. Mopar Man saying I run the 1540 in the Jeep too. You see, I never heard anyone use eddies and eddy currents interchangeably before. Interesting. V, I'm telling you, that's first responder. He kind of keep you thinking. He'll keep you on your toes. Comes at you with some next level stuff. GTI Warrior saying the 4.0s love Rotella. The best is saying oil additives are just like fishing lures. They're made to catch the fishermen. True. First responder garage saying Mopar Man, that engine was built to run 1540 from the factory. Yeah, a lot of my buddies run the thinner oil. They'll run straight 30 weight in their V8s or whatever. But I think spec for my 6 cylinder was technically just 30 weight mineral oil at the time in 1960. But I don't run it. I don't run the. I mean, I've put 1030 in there to top it off, but I've never run a full oil change of anything less than 1540 or anything lighter than 1540. Mexican spec saying, do you guys really look at what oil is in the bottle and not just the price? Uh, Chris Cadman saying, Chris, I retired a few years ago and just travel around and have fun with my bike. Maybe I'll show up wearing my official Ari shirt. I need to make some shirts. I need to make some shirts and stickers for everybody. I think that'd be kind of cool. I just need to get some art together, get a decent idea. I was really tempted to do magnets too. I don't know, because everybody drives steel cars. You can throw them on a garage fridge. I thought magnets would be kind of cool. But I got some decent ideas. If you guys want to wear a Ari shirt, whether it be, I don't think I'll put my name on a shirt. I'll put something on there related to the channel or whatever it may be. One poor man saying Rotella 1540 in the Jeep, Dart Slant 6, and my 318 all have the Wix 15155 filter, aka the same size as the Fram PH8A. Mexican spec is saying it was suggested to me I should sell the Mexican spec plates. I should sell the Mexican spec plates. Would anybody want to buy one? Mexican spec, yes. Yes, I want one for the toolbox. The best to say magnet to cover the cowl vent. GTI Warrior saying shirt idea. You holding a dipstick with the words check your fluids. That'd be kind of cool. I had I mean, a lot of t-shirt making, YouTube stuff is plagiarism. So I was looking at old kind of 80s band t-shirts and stuff, just kind of finding something I could steal. First responder garage say Mexican spec, you obviously haven't been paying attention. The whole point behind this is the price. Chris Cadman saying, get that porn or art reflection in the glasses on the shirt. Girls Garage is saying, Ari, you're doing a lot of California driving as well. You're spot on with the weight, in my opinion. It's too heavy for Idaho, but perfect for bumper to bumper on the 405 in August. Yeah, definitely. If I lived somewhere where it was closer to 40 or 50 degrees most of the time, probably a lot less actually. You guys said you had a real cold one in Idaho. I would definitely run some lighter oil. But no, down here, you know what I mean? It's just, traffic, street light to light traffic. And then, of course, the freeway running isn't so bad, but I feel like this environment's real conducive to having a heavy oil in that damn. Fee is saying, oh, wait, question. Y'all know that Cartnart guy, who that Cartnart guy is? Am I the only one going to jail if he ever approaches me? Fee, no. What did I miss? Who is this person? Who's the Cartnart? Fee is saying, I am not at all a violent person, but anyone coming at me throwing magnets on my cars talking trash is getting more of a reaction than they wanted. Yeah, you don't mess with another man's automobile. The best is saying a finger going into a donut, checking the oil. Yes. Football man saying RE t-shirt, don't be a dipstick, check your fluids. Yes. First responder garage is out for the night, saying, gotta go, Ari, buy all in the chat. First responder, have a great night, brother. Have a great week. I hope you're safe out there. Thanks for everything you do, man. I appreciate you. Check your fluids. Yeah, first responders. He posted some video of him. He was in the fire engine. They're doing a call in the middle of the night. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, it's pretty rural where he is too. So I'm thinking, man, how many people are just up in the middle of the night cruising, ready to save people's lives? I mean, I know it's what first responders do, but still, it was kind of cool to see the video. It's hit me different. Chris Cadman saying oil filters. What are oil filters? He is saying Cartnart goes to parking lots and starts recording people and talking trash, etc. People don't put their grocery basket in the receptacles at the front of the store, etc. I mean, it's cool to put them in the cart corral. It's courteous, but at the end of the day, someone is kind of getting paid to get to wrangle the carts. So it's kind of some wasted energy because it's like if Cartnart successfully does his job, he might be putting somebody out of work. You know what I mean? Maybe little AJ doesn't get the last 2 hours of his shift. He gets cut early because of Cartnark. No, I don't know. I would be pretty annoyed if anybody approached me in the parking lot randomly like that. I don't know. It depends. Though. I'm not saying that I did. Random encounters with people are cool as long as they're polite and positive, but people trying to be confrontational for no reason, that'll set you off. All I'm saying, if it's a hot place, you can run heavy oil, but better non-cheap oil than just heavier. Girls Garage is saying, laugh out loud. That's why I drive patina and rats. If you show up with a mag to check for Bondo, or if you're wasting your time at my place, you see you're wasting your time at my place. You see the holes and rust. It's nice driving them honest, right, Brother Bear? I mean, you could open a door on my truck, just ding the hell out of it. You're not probably going to ding it. I'm pretty sure it's like 16 or 14 gauge. I don't. It's a pretty thick truck, but I mean, it's like oh, what are you going to dent it? Ah, you scratch the dang it, you scratch the paint. Which is funny. I say that, but I remember a party a couple years ago. My buddy's friends they all set up around my truck and they had a bunch of beers on my hood. It pissed me off so bad. I'm like, get your shit in your goddamn living room. Get off. I have problems. XJ David saying our local store had all the baskets stolen when they started to charge for bags. Yes. Chris Cabin saying I put my cards against AMC Pacers. Mopar Man's gonna have to go to bed off the next 2 days and got a busy schedule tomorrow. I'm sure you're getting a bunch done, man. You've been trucking on those cars. Thanks for stopping in, brother. Have a great week. Be safe out there. Check your fluid. Hey, we got Foggy in the chat. Howdy, brother. How are you? Chris Cabin saying plus 10 pounds of bond. The best is saying a kid told me that same thing. It's his job to do the cars. Yeah, they come and wrangle them at the end of the night. They might hate it, but still part of the job. You know what I mean? Girls Garage is saying if it looks like you don't have insurance, they avoid you. If it's nice, they aim for you. That's true, huh? I mean, I don't know. It's like it's that giant steel truck. I got that piece of C channel for a bumper. People tailgate me. I'm like, all right, if that's what you want to do, if that's what you want to do to your car, go ahead. Because I'll take this thing to work and I'll fix it. And you'll be sitting there with a wrecked car. You're going to be paying my damn bill. Beaker 138 in the chat. Howdy, brother. How are you? Just hanging out over here, rambling at people. Fee is saying, no, he talks trash. People tell him they have a disability. He talks trash. Asked if they had a knee replacement inside the store before they went in. A few people have pulled weapons on him. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I don't know. You start talking trash to me, right? Especially if it's like, geez, if it's the wrong day, you might end up with a two-piece and a biscuit. I'm a really diplomatic dude, but I don't respond well to pointless aggression. Chris Cadman saying my two-stroke oil filters are like hen's teeth. Speaker saying ramble on. I'm rambling, man. I've been going. I've been going for a little while now. Got Pico 67 SS saying I drive around with scrap metal piled in my truck. Smart, smart. Stay away. Welcome, Pico. That's pretty good. I should throw. I got some random stuff in the back of the truck, but no scrap metal. He's saying Carton Arc is his YouTube channel. Jeez, some of these people go a little too far with the social experiments on YouTube. I can't believe it. I wouldn't push people's buttons like that. I guess it's all relative. It depends where you grew up, the kind of people you're dealing with. Where I grew up, people aren't very mild mannered. Mexican Spec saying, "How is YouTube not banned his channel? All of his content is harassment." There's a lot of channels like that. Mexican Spec. Look at Uncle Brian. You know what I mean? His channel was basically like a review kind of hate manifesto, and that was on there for years. I still want to know who put him in the neck brace, though. Buy that guy a beer. Oh man. Yeah, the social experiments on YouTube are totally weird. I kept getting clips of this guy asking people for a couple bucks of gas money, and people were just giving horrible reactions, like, "No, I work for my money," and just freaking out. You know, I'm like, "Oh god." And then when people did give him gas money, you'd throw cash at him, and I'm like, "This is just weird." Like the whole thing's kind of weird. I know how that is though. There used to be a couple guys that would do that around where I grew up. They would stop. They would straight up stop their car and through traffic, throw on their hazards, and then hold up a gas can and ask people driving around them for gas money so they could get out of the way. And I've seen them. I'd seen them do it several times. It was just there. That was their con. Damn grifters. He is saying, you know how freaking weird you have to be for Dr. Phil to recognize you as a YouTuber and try to reason with you. That's pretty bad. Mexican Spec saying, talking about somebody is different than recording yourself harassing people. Mexican Spec, it depends on your definition of harassment, though. Dickie Farley smiling. Thanks for staying with us, Dickie. I hope I'm not too boring tonight. Olive's saying, where I'm from, we don't cut loose for just anything. Yeah, that's probably a better way to be. Chris Cadman saying, I used to own a cop car. Can't go down the road without everyone jumping on the brakes. That sounds kind of rough. You're just trying to keep a pace and everyone's all freaked out. The best is saying people never know what kind of day people are having. The wrong person, the wrong time, pushing up daisies. Yeah, that's for sure the best. I don't like the idea of it, you know what I mean? But it's like in the same breath, I stay out of people's way. I try to treat folks with respect and courtesy, be polite because it's like, I don't know. Even when I was a bouncer, you know what I mean? It was the same thing. I tried not to talk down to people. I expressed what I needed to express and just kind of left it at that. I don't know. What's the point? It's not about being a hard ass or anything. You just kind of just keep it keep an even keel. You know what I mean? I don't know. Fee is saying, yeah, I don't know. He genuinely believes he's in the right though. He acts like a politician. He never turns off the shtick. He literally blocks people in, throws a sign on their car until they flip out. Yeah, yeah. I mean, probably. I could see him like ending up in his own trunk. All of saying, I often feel like a freaking Jedi in the monkey house. Yeah, I believe. Dickie Farley saying, no, been a grand show, Mister. Thanks, brother. Glad to have you, Dickie. I felt bad, I missed the one Sunday I missed because I was coming back from Vegas, and then last Sunday I was in the shop, so I kind of had to cut the show short, which kind of bummed me out because I was really enjoying talking to everybody and kind of touring the shop, but the phone was dying on me, so I thought that'd be unprofessional, just let the live cut. But I'm glad I'm enjoying speaking with everybody. Got some new folks in here. Fee, really glad to have you. Um, it's is great. I need a better back. I'm gonna start green screening this or something. I'm gonna give myself like a shipyard background or something. All of saying, hey Dickie, you didn't do the thing. What's the thing? But yeah, guys, we're right here. We're right at about 2.5 hours. I was gonna go ahead and call it for the night, if that's all right with you guys. Beaker 138 saying, how much did I lose in Vegas? I lost an entire $17, Beaker. I don't gamble much. He is saying that he argues that people are paid to pick up carts from the receptacles only, and he's doing a community service. Reality is they're paid to get the carts wherever they're left. I put them up 99% of the time, but after that, yeah, yeah, you know what I mean? It's not like, I don't know. One of those things. I feel you though, Pete. Thanks so much for stopping in. Really glad to have you in the show. You added a lot to the conversation and everything else. everyone, thanks so much for stopping in. As always, it's great speaking with you guys. I'm always learning something. It's a great way to spend a Sunday night. I hope everybody had a decent week this week. I hope everybody has a great week next week. Going to be doing some more work on the truck. I'll see if I can get some footage, but probably not. You know me, I never record my work, probably to save myself the embarrassment. But you guys be safe out there. Have a wonderful week. Check your fluids. Chris Cadman says the dog says good night. Good night, Chris's dog. Thanks, everybody. You guys have a great night. See you next week. Thanks, guys.